قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Welcome to today's webinar, which is sorry about that. There was a disconnect all of a sudden. So just to again formally make the announcement for today's webinar, formal announcement. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to today's second event of World Food Day, which was celebrated last year in Pakistan, led by Comstech and together with Upsign and Savi. But this year's webinar is going to be a little bit different. So maybe I'll just introduce myself. My name is Dr. Shahid Mansu. I'm the co-founder of Upsign Network, which is the UK-Pakistan Science Innovation Network. I'm also working at Innovation Lead at a research institute in the UK called Rainwater Research. And also I'm the food security advisor for Comstech in Islamabad. And today we are celebrating the important day. It's World Food Day, which was started by the United Nations back in 50 years ago. So the whole idea of this event is today to bring policymakers, researchers, academia, and stakeholders from agri-food sector coming together, discussing the challenges that our world is facing. And we all know there are nearly 1 billion people which go to bed without having enough food. And then again, we have heard, and many times we have seen those data sets as well, that there's a hidden hunger. So although we are having enough food, but it's not meeting the nutrition requirement of our body. So today's event is very important. It's a reminder for us how we can address this challenge. And in the face of climate change. And as you know, Pakistan is one of the top countries which is facing the burden of climate change and the issues around water availability, heat. But at the same time, the issue Pakistan has faced last 2 months ago. This was the floods. So nearly 1/3 of the country was underwater, and it has affected nearly 30 million people of the country. And we'll go in more details later on, what is the consequence of the climate change, which is affecting our lives, our economics, and our nutrition as well. Without further delay, I would like to formally introduce today's chair for the program, Professor Dr. Muhammad Iqbal Chaudhry. He's the Coordinator General of the Comstech. Comstech is Commission for Science and Technology for the Muslim world. And today's event is hosted by partners Comstech, Upsign Network, UK-Pakistan Science Innovation Network, Savi. Then we have today's partnership, this Institute for Climate Change Research, which is established at Islamic University, Bahawalpur. Then we have got here partnership today with International Food Security Organization, which is based in Sweden. So they are participating today as well. Then we have a support from all other organizations, SACAN, universities from Pakistan, universities from outside the world as well, my institute, Rainwater Research. So I think we'll go in more details later on. Before further delay, I just want to go over to our chief guest and the chair of the session, over to Professor Dr. Muhammad Iqbal Chaudhry. Sir, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies for background noise because I'm in hotel's lobby and it's not going to be very smooth because everybody's trying to speak very loudly. But let me thank all of you, and particularly my dear brother, Professor Dr. Shahid Mansu, for putting together very, very important and interesting events on a topic which is extremely relevant to all of us and relevant to the existence of humanity at large, You see, we all understand that food is the basic commodity. And if you look into the history of the world, food has been a major driving force of conflicts, of migrations, of a whole range of different human miseries and sufferings. And there was a time when we used to think that we have overed and we have actually gone over the time where food would perhaps not be a major problem. But if you look into what happened in last 1 decade, uh, three major events which now define the world, and none of them has anything to do with the developing world, but has impacted all of us in a major way, has also impacted the food supply and food availability. You look into global climate change, as Dr. Khalid Mahmood has mentioned, that climate change is unfolding, and we know that we are perhaps the last generation to do something about that. And this would indeed be a major detrimental factor of, again, the new wave of migration, conflicts, wars, and between humanity. Second is pandemic. Again, pandemic has redefined the humanity, and it has disrupted literally everything, including food supply and other basic necessities of human life. And then if you look into geopolitical situation, the Ukraine-Russian war has really made many of our countries net food shortage countries. Food inflation is highest in literally last 5 decades, and there are many people, increasing number of people uh, who are without a proper food supply. And in all of it, it becomes increasingly important that we focus on what we need to do in countries like ours. Dr. Khalid mentioned about Pakistan. Pakistan is certainly one country with huge resources, very hardworking farming community. This is an old land. This is the land where agriculture, perhaps one of those countries where agriculture was invented after Anatolia. But when you look into the food supply issue, we are horrified that the climatic events are affecting. On top of it, we have been in last 1 decade net importer of food, cereals and pulses of different kinds. Now, what is lacking? That is something which is the topic of this seminar. Uh, what we need to do way forward is something which we need to deliberate, and comstech is very proud to be part of this event. We are very, very happy that we have been working closely with leading organizations, including Upsign, and also with SAVI, with the Consortium of Climate Sustainability and Conservation, with International Foundation of Science, with Islamic Organization of Food Security. And all of them, perhaps we can make some sense of what is going on and how can we proceed further. How can we make agriculture as a center core of science and technology? How can we make agriculture as the basic theme of our geopolitical agenda? Our political leadership has to realize that without a vibrant, sustainable agriculture sector, this country would never be secure in any definition of the meaning. And therefore, it is important, and such event is extremely important. Now, what is way forward Pakistan for Pakistan is indeed very generic and similar to many other Muslim countries. comstech represents 57 member states, and these 7 member states spread over 4 continents, facing many of them facing largely the same kind of problem as we have. So the recommendation coming out of this event would perhaps be very important and relevant to the other Muslim countries. Therefore, I'm excited and happy, and I would like to urge all participants to actually, at the end of the day, bring together a few important interventions which is required, because we don't want to walk down in details. We eventually want to have something which can be presented to the leadership, not only regional leadership, political leadership, but also OIC leadership for intervention. With this, I'd like to thank you all for your active participation, and I wish you a very, very successful event, inshallah, and many more in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Iqbal Chaudhry Saab. You've been an inspiration for us from the day one, and leading us from the front in terms of how we can bring the research to deliver impact. And this is a great moment for us to celebrate this day and bringing stakeholders on board. And I would say it's academia, and now I think with the pandemic, it's now very obvious that everybody is now looking at the researchers. The researchers could definitely find the solution, and solution is in our hand. And for us is to protect our mother nature from disaster of climate change. The only way forward is we need to work together. We need to protect our nature resource from our water, soil, biodiversity, and our air quality. That will make a huge impact. So thank you so much, sir. So I'll just move on to our next speaker. So there is a raise of hand. Maybe there's one question. If somebody asked, Dr. Liaquat Ali has raised a question. Maybe they want to ask a question. Usually we do not take question, but let's take their question as a first question. Dr. Liaquat Ali, please make them unmute. So, Dr. Liaquat Ali. Dr. Liaquat Ali, yes, please ask the question. Or otherwise, just write down a question here. We'll take it up afterward because we have a quite tight agenda today to follow. So we have a second speaker, which is who's our His Excellency and Pakistan Ambassador based here in the UK, Mr. Mazam Ali. He just sent us a regret due to some emergency, he's unable to join us. But we'll just move on to our next speakers in the row today. So its program is quite busy, and we just do not want to leave any sort of opportunity that will delay the discussions today. So has Dr. Nagisti has joined? Dr. Nagisti, are you there? No? So maybe we'll just move on to our next speaker then. So that's much easier so that we can just continue our discussions. So let me look at our next speakers. Our next speaker is going to be, do we have Dr. Farouk here? Dr. Farouk, have you joined, please? Maybe if you are able to write down here in the message, because we have got over 106 people, it's difficult to find who's here. So maybe if the speakers can just write down their, yes. So Dr. Farouk is here. Can we make them a co-host, please? I'm going to share this screen in a minute. Okay. Just a second, I have got their slides. Dr. Farouk, maybe just try if you can share your screen, that would be much easier. So this session is formally will be chaired by Dr. Anwar Gilani Saab, who is the Vice Chancellor from University of Hazara. But again, due to some urgencies, they are not able to join us, but because we just want to continue our session. Is Ms. Faranaz is here? Ms. Faranaz, are you there? Please just send a message in the text box so that we can make you co-host, so that you can co-chair the session. And we have here Dr. Kakar from the Khuzdar University, if they can just
Dr. Khalid, if you can hear me, Faranaz is here with us, but she will join in a moment.
Okay, great, thank you. So I think we're just gonna be, I think this webinar is going to be quite interesting, but we're going to make get the time right as well. So just getting everything in right. So yeah, we have the 3 hours. I think we'll have this discussion, focused discussion, because there's a lot of questions that we need to ask and discuss as well. So it's good, Dr. Farouk Saab, we can see your screen if you want to make it bigger. And then we're just waiting for our chairs to come, if they can come along. Otherwise, I would just say, if we just start and then the chairs will hand over from here. I'll hand over them from here. So over to you. So Dr. Farouk. Dr. Farouk is a professor at the Sultan Qaboos University in Muscat in Oman. And he's an agriculture specialist. He has done a lot of work on climate change. He got his PhD and worked with the International Rice Research Institute. Rice is another important commodity in our food basket and plays a huge role in nutrition as well. So we'll be hearing from him what's the challenge our food system is facing. So over to Dr. Muhammad Farooq, sir. Thank you so much, first of all, joining.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Thank you very much, Dr.
Yes, please. You just got yourself mute.
So now can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you, yes.
Thank you. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid, for your generous introduction.
You are mute again, so I don't know, something happened. So you are mute, or if I are not able to hear you, sir. Dr. Farooq? No, we are not able to hear you. No, we are unable to hear you. Do you mind just maybe joining again, or something happened with your voice? We are unable to hear you. Dr. Farooq, we are unable to hear you. I'm just unable. Your voice was there in the beginning, then it disappeared. Yes, now you want to try? No, it's not coming. Not yet. No, no, it's not there. So it's still not there. So maybe there is something with your mic. Do you want to start again, or something happened with your mic? Ms. Khazima, can you please check? We'll just check. Just hold a second. We'll just do a quick testing again. So what's happening here? No, Dr. Farooq, we're unable to hear you. No. Still the same problem. Maybe you want to leave and join the meeting again. Please. Sorry about this this technology problem. Sorry about that. We'll just resolve it in a minute. Yes, Dr. Farooq.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you. Yes, yes.
So unfortunately, I don't know what the issue.
So now you want to start again, please?
So probably it's better.
Yes, if you just hold for a second, I think we have got our co-chair of the session. So Ms. Farah Naz, she's the country director for GAIN, which is a network which is supporting the food nutrition. So maybe I'll ask her to introduce herself and co-chair this session. Over to Dr. Farah Naz. Can you please make unmute Farah Naz? She's number 4, just under Dr. Muhammad Farooq. Khazima, Ms. Khazima. Can you make unmute Ms. Farah Naz? Khazima, can you please make unmute? I'll just ask her to make unmute. Ms. Farah, can you hear us? So it's good you are here. So if you can just quickly introduce yourself and take up the chair. Yes, Ms. Farah Naz. We're unable to hear you. Maybe unmute yourself. Yes, please. Yes, yes, please, Ms. Farah. We are today. We are going a little bit good in time. So over to you now, because you were the chair of the first session, please. Ms. Farah, we're unable to hear you.
We cannot hear.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Farouk.
Yes, unmute yourself, please. Yes, please. Ms. Farah. So maybe if you want to maybe chip in at the end, you can introduce yourself and then take it from there. Okay, so we'll let Professor Farouk to continue. Over to you, Dr. Farouk, please. Sorry about this.
No, thank you. I'm so sorry for inconveniences, technological issues. Actually, every day we're facing this. So I was just talking about, so I don't know, again, issue.
No, we can hear you. Yeah, please go ahead.
But I cannot move the slides. I don't know what the problem.
Hello.
Yeah, let me, so you should be able to move the, shall I put your slides up from my side?
Hi, everyone.
No,
I don't know if anyone is trying to speak. This is Farah Naz from Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, but I cannot hear anything that Dr. Farouk is trying to say. So just thought that I'll let you know. Thank you.
Okay, good. So I think we're gonna let
Dr. Khan, probably there's an issue. What I will do, I will share the PPT slide before I said probably in PDF format. I will just share the slide because I cannot move the slides.
Okay, I can just share it from my side, so no worry. So
no, actually they are in PDF format.
Okay, no, that's should not be a problem.
I think.
Okay, I'll just share.
But I mean, no. I mean, I guess there are a few slides, a few figures actually, the photo which are embedded.
Okay. So if you want to send me that one, I'll just replace one. So I'll just take it from here. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I have just shared you on WhatsApp, if you can see.
Okay. I'll just maybe stop this for a moment, and I'll get it from there. Just a second.
It's sent from my side.
Okay.
Sorry for inconvenience.
No problem. So I know it's sometimes technology is not our friend. It happens, but yeah, we are there. Okay, perfect. So now I can share the screen. To you and okay. Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Perfect. So can you move on, please?
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Dr. Khalid. I'm really very sorry for this technological inconvenience. So what we are seeing now here, there is economic development, there's industrial development, there's rapid increase in population, but that population increase is also utilizing the resources, and we need to pay the price for that. Can you go to the next slide? Can you please move to the next slide?
Just a second. I'm just going to take it. Okay, next slide. Yes, please.
Because I want to save the time. So please keep on clicking.
Okay.
Keep on clicking.
Oh, sorry, it's just gone. Okay, yes, please.
So this economic development is killing the planet. There is an increase in population, although due to foreign investment, due to industrial development. There is an increase in GDP over the years. But this increase in livelihood, increase in prosperity is also causing demand and more motor vehicles, more papers, and water utility. And what impact we are having, increase in temperature, increase in CO2 and other greenhouse gas emissions, etc. So there is also clearing of land, ozone depletion. So these are the prices we are paying for this rapid industrial and economic development. Next slide, please. So looking at Pakistani scenario, so there's tremendous increase in emission of greenhouse gases over the years. CO2 at the top, but if we will look at other major emissions, there are methane and nitrous oxide, particularly from the rice fields. are from agricultural, methane from the rice field in particular, and nitrous oxide from other fields. But we need to highlight here and understand that this methane is contributing about 28 times as that of CO2. This nitrous oxide is contributing almost 300 times than that of CO2. So one molecule of nitrous oxide is contributing to global warming potential equal to about 300 molecules of CO2. So this situation is quite alarming. And there is increase in nitrogen use, there is increase in fertilizer application, there is increase in water dentation, so and so on. So we need to be very much careful what we are doing now. Next slide, please. So the price we are paying is increase in temperature. You may see what was the temperature before in early 90s, in 1920s, 30s. So we only experienced few heat waves and temperature extremes. But if you look at the end of the slide, tremendous frequent incidents and events of heat change, increase in temperature, heat blast, so and so on. Next slide. So look at the scenario, this is from last year. So from the mid-April until early May, when our wheat crop, which is our major grain crop, is at ripening stage, grain is developing at the stage. Any increase in temperature, even at single degree Celsius, may cause significant reduction in grain size, and we need to pay the price in terms of significant yield reduction. So last year, what we noticed that our wheat production was 40 to 60% less than the previous years in many of the farmers who are not planting right in time. So just see how this temperature increase or heat wave affected our crop. Next slide, please. Next, please. So if we look at the globe, where we are at high risk area. At very high degree of desertification we are expecting. Why this is so? Next slide, please. Next one. Next slide. So what is actually happening if 1 year will be droughted year, if after a few years it will rain the same, actually not too much, so the soil properties already changed, that will cause flooding. So looking at the current scenario, the previous scenario and the predicted scenario, most of our area will be under high temperature, will be dry as well. So this is what we need to look at. Next, please. So this is the climate risk index map. Next slide. So see where we are. We are in the top 10 countries which are hidden by the climate change. Next slide, please. Next one. So next slide, please. So see how this climate change is affecting agriculture in particular. No, previous one, please. Previous one. So agriculture is being impacted by climate change. Previous one. By increase in temperature. That increase in temperature is causing glacier melting.
So the previous has the next one. Sorry, there's a bit of delay.
Next one. So I'm sorry. I mean, this creating
there's a bit of delay. Sorry
next one. Next one, please.
Next one. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Can you see this one? There's a bit of delay.
No, not yet. Not now, please. So there is increase in glacier melting, and that contribute to significant flooding. Increase in temperature may also cause evaporational losses, transportational losses, causing decline in crop productivity and increase in desertification, what we are facing now. Increase in industrialization is increasing the greenhouse gas emission that also contribute to global rise in temperature, particularly in our area. So sea level rise, water rise is there, intrusion of water from sea is there to causing salinity. So what we are experiencing then, extreme weather events, unpredictable extreme weather events. The floods or the droughts, temperature extreme or very cool temperature. So each of these is contributing negatively to the crop production and food security of the region. Next one. Next one, please. So as mentioned before, we are having floods or droughts. So we are not sure what will happen. So this glacier melting is also an anomaly. This increase in temperature, the droughts or the floods, they are in between and intermittent. Some years we are having droughts and the next year maybe we are having floods. So this unpredictable climate change is a major issue for us. Next one. So these extreme weather events, they're causing serious threat to food security, as we know what happened, what we experienced this year in 2010, last year, when there were floods, when there were catastrophes. So the common people, they were unable to have food. The crops were destroyed. We will be facing problem of wheat planting even next year, because many of the areas, they are still underwater. And the farmers, they will be unable to plant wheat or other vegetables, and the masses will be food insecure. Next one. We know what food security is. This is availability, accessibility, stability, and utilization. So each of these components is being affected by this climate change, these extreme weather events. Next slide, please. Next one, please. Hello, next slide, please. Yes, so this is the key slide actually. So see, what is the situation now after the recent floods in Pakistan? So each of the components of food security pillar, availability, accessibility, stability, and utilization, they are being affected. If you compare situation in Pakistan compared with the global average where we are, the average dietary energy availability, the food production system, protein supply, fat supply, per capita food availability, far below than the global average. We are not comparing with the developed part of the world. We're just comparing with the global average, having Sub-Saharan Africa and many other poor countries in the world as well in the loop. So the common people, they are unnourished. Either they're not getting enough food or the food is not nutritious, what we are facing. So this is a scenario we need to cope with. This is a scenario we need to develop strategies for that. I do hope that from the next speaker, we will be, inshallah, listening what strategies we need to opt as a nation, as a country, so that in future, we may be ready for these climatic catastrophes. Next one. So this last slide, this is the message actually from, I'm quoting from Norman Borlaug, but he said that no amount of technologies or external assistance can feed a nation that doesn't itself prioritize food security and agriculture. Thank you very much for your patience. And I'm so sorry for inconvenience these due to technological issues. So probably I was unable to speak well. So you know the reasons. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Farooq, for a very interesting discussion and very thoughtful insight to the statistics as well. So these numbers are mind-blowing. And I'm really glad that you are able to put something for us to discuss in the next sessions today. And the important bit, which is I think you have mentioned really useful, that the issue that we are facing, we are sitting actually on a time bomb. So if we do not address the issue of for populations, your first slide was quite obvious. So it's how to make a balance between the population, communities, environment, and food security. So this is what is an ongoing challenge. It's not an easy thing, and this is where I think the researchers need to sit together and come up with a plan and guide the policymakers to make those decisions. So I think our politicians are looking at researchers, credible research, if we can provide that as a basis for them to make a decision. So thank you so much again. So I would like to move to our next speaker. Today's next speaker is Professor Nicola Lowe. She's a professor at the University of Central Lancashire, based in the UK. She's doing interesting work in Pakistan last 20 years, and she's a great friend of Pakistan. She spent a lot of time during even floods as well. So I would like to formally welcome Professor Nicola Lowe for sparing time in early hours of the UK time. So thank you so much, Professor Nicola, for joining. If you can just unmute yourself, I'll just put up your slides in a minute. So over to you for making an introduction. Professor Nicola Lowe, thank you.
Thank you very much, Khaled. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak on this really, really important day, especially at this time in Pakistan. And my sincere condolences go out to everyone who's suffered as a result of the recent floods. So thank you for inviting me to talk today. I'd like to just share some of my thoughts and experiences. I've just returned from northern Pakistan. I've been up in the northern parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where I've been visiting some flood affected communities, rural communities, and speaking with communities and learning about what they've experienced and asking them what they believe the solutions are going forwards. So I'd like to share some of those thoughts with you. Obviously, I'm speaking through a nutrition lens. I'm not an agriculturalist. I'm a nutritionist. So my thoughts will be filtered through a nutrition lens. Khaled, I can share my screen.
Yes, please, you can. Yeah, not the co-host.
Okay,
yeah, that would be much easier. Thank you.
Okay. So let me know if you can see my screen. I know there might be a little delay.
Yes, it's there. Yeah. No, if you want to make it bigger, please. Thank you.
Is that good?
Yes, please. Yeah. Perfect.
All righty. All right. So Khaled asked I would talk about improving the resilience of food systems to climate change and what we can learn from the recent floods. So this really just illustrates the scale of the challenge. This map, this document was produced by Pakistan government, just showing where the most damage has been wrought by the recent floods. And as you can see very clearly, most of the damage is down in Balochistan and Sindh province, with pockets of damage up in the northern regions in northern Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. In terms of losses and what is required in terms of funding to support activities in these areas, we know that almost 15% of the population has been directly affected. I suspect this is a gross underestimate. I suspect it's a lot more than that. 2 million acres of crops and orchards have been destroyed. 719,000 livestock, that's animals and poultry, lost. Most heavy losses in Balochistan, with 3.5 million people estimated to be food insecure. And the panel on the right shows the funding requirements in the different sectors, and where I put the big red arrow there, that's the agriculture sector. So clearly a lot of funding support is needed in order to rebuild and recover from these recent disasters. So just for taking a big step back then and looking at the food system as a whole, this is a very simplistic diagram of the food system. Here we have food production, which is our crops and livestock and aquaculture, moving around the food system to food processing, food distribution, consumption, and here this is where the nutrition comes in, how we use food, our accessibility to food, our food security. Part of this system, of course, is managing waste and reducing waste, And so this really sort of is a cartoon, simplistic representation of the entire food system. And when the floods came along in 2022, it really affected every single element of this system, from production with loss of crops and livestock, processing, lack of ability to move crops from farm to processing places, and also to market, distribution to market, impacting people's ability to access food, to afford food where livelihoods had been destroyed by the floods, and of course food waste being way too high due to loss of food, loss of storage facilities, and again inability to move crops that are ready for market from the farm to the market because of the destroyed infrastructure. I found this diagram actually really helpful too. It pretty much tells a similar story. It was produced by Claudia Offner from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, but I thought it was a really nice, clear way of showing the pathway from the flooding event on the left through to the nutrition outcomes, particularly the maternal and child outcomes on the right-hand side. And if we just follow one of the facts through, here we have the flooding, climate change, causing the increase in temperatures, altered rainfall patterns and rising sea levels, as Dr. Farouk has just described to us, causing this flooding event. We follow through the agriculture strain here. Here we have reduced agriculture outputs, reduced yields, impacting on food production, floods affecting the storage and processing, availability and access to food, having a serious negative impact on diet, not just for the short term, but as I'll move on in a minute, talking about the long term as well, and how this impacts on child nutrition outcomes. And of course, there are elements there around disease and also reduced access to clean water. I thought it was just a nice, clear way of making that direct link of the impact of the flood on nutrition. So malnutrition was already prevalent in women and children living in the flood-affected areas prior to this year's monsoon. And in the National Nutrition Survey of 2018, which is the most recent survey in Pakistan, it was clear that 17.7% of children suffer from wasting, and this is well above the agreed international threshold of 15%. And 71% of households were food insecure. Again, this was before the floods happened. So Pakistan, as Dr. Farouk alluded to, is already in a tenuous situation even before the impacts of climate change had taken hold this year. So in terms of a response, the flood response, the government plan is to provide support for 70,000 children with moderate acute malnutrition and severe acute malnutrition, that's MAM and SAM, through supplementary and therapeutic feeding programs respectively. And in addition to that, 72,000 children will be provided who have normal nutrition status will be provided with multiple nutrient supplements, powders. So in terms of the long-term impact, we can deal with the short-term impact by providing these supplements and therapeutic foods for particularly focusing on the most vulnerable and women and children. But there is going to be inevitably a long-term impact. And this figure, again, from Claudia Offner shows the crop planting and harvesting cycle. And the red arrows at the top show the impact of the timing of the floods in 2022. Clearly showing that has had a major impact on the maize and the millet and the rice, which was ripening and ready for harvest when the floods arrived. The wheat supply, although sowing hasn't yet started, grain stores, seed stores have been lost, ground is waterlogged. So that's going to affect the grain sowing that happens October, November, and will have an impact on the availability of wheat later on in the year as we come around to harvest in the May. This is inevitably going to result in price increases and an increase in food insecurity and malnutrition in the year ahead. So what can we do is to improve resilience and prepare for these outcomes? Well, I've been part of a large project that we refer to as the BusyFed project with many collaborators around the world, particularly in Pakistan at Khyber Medical University, Rainwater Medical Institute, Fauji Fertilizer Company, to name but a few. And this research was designed to look at the potential for biofortified varieties of staple crops to improve micronutrient intake. As Dr. Farouk mentioned earlier, it's not just about calories, it's not just about protein, but it's about nutrient density, it's about the micronutrient content of foods. And if we can enhance the micronutrient content of staple crops, then we have a good chance that even the poorest communities will be able to afford and benefit from them. So the research was divided into 3 work packages. The first was a randomized controlled trial to look at the impact of consuming flour made from zinc-rich biofortified grain on health outcomes, and we've published this work already in the British Medical Journal and other places. We also had a work package that was designed to look at the performance of this particular high zinc variety. It was Zincol 2016. I know 2 new varieties that perform even better have now been released in Pakistan, but our work evaluated the impact, the performance of Zincol 2016 under different soil conditions, doing some geospatial mapping, looking at the soil mineral content and how the crop performed, and in terms of disease resistance and yield, but also in terms of its nutrient content, looking at 720 sites across Punjab province. And our third work package was all about acceptability of the biofortified crop, both to the farmers themselves, whether they were interested, happy to grow it, how it performed for them, but also the consumers, whether they were willing to purchase it and how on what impact the cost of it would have on their decision whether or not they would buy it. Just to summarize very, very briefly what the key findings were, we found that by consuming the biofortified flour, we could increase the zinc intake by up to 5 milligrams a day. It had a positive impact on some of the health outcomes, some of the biomarkers of zinc status, including hair zinc concentration and DNA damage in our 6-month intervention. In terms of the community and farmer acceptance, it was widely acceptable to consumers, providing the price was right. And the producers also reported very positively about the yield and the quality, but also highlighted the fact that it does require, for optimal performance, it does require a zinc fertilizer, which is an additional cost. So just going back to my recent visit to Swat in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and talking with communities and what I learned there, I heard from them that the floods absolutely took them by surprise. There was very limited early warning, despite the fact that the rainfall had been significantly higher than average for several weeks. There was massive destruction of infrastructure, roads, bridges, hydroelectric systems, impacting ability of getting crops to market and access to food supplies. In the north, there was no large NGO response. I know that's very different in the south, and that has been present there, but not in the north. And it was a local charities, local volunteers that stepped in to provide support in terms of food distribution to the most severely affected areas and support with rebuilding infrastructure. In the communities themselves, there was sharing of food, sharing of homes, and potentially sharing of space within homes to other families in the community whose homes washed away. For an extended period of time, they were saying for maybe up to 2 years before they could rebuild their homes. And there was an impressive amount of local resilience and expertise and resourcefulness. And many said that they had learned from the previous floods in 2010 of how to build back and how to deal with the immediate after effects of the floods. But inevitably, inequalities were present and the poorest suffer the most. So what can we learn? How can we improve food system resilience and community resilience? Well, absolutely. The presence of malnutrition, even prior to the flood disaster, was alarming. And Solutions for that include scaling up of the fortification and biofortification strategies. We know that from the research that an increase in the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has a negative impact on grain mineral content. So as that CO2 goes up, the amount of mineral trapped in wheat grain, for example, goes down. So there's that inverse relationship. So absolutely improving, doing whatever we can to improve that mineral content of staple foods is something we need to really redouble our efforts on. When I was talking with farmers in the SWAT area, we were distributing grain or seed grain to farmers who'd lost their seeds for the coming sowing season, and we were providing grain to them, but it wasn't biofortified. And I asked that question, why are we not providing biofortified grain? Is it because the farmers don't want it, don't trust it, or what's the reason? And the answer came back very clearly. The farmers are very much aware of biofortified varieties. They understand the health benefits of growing and providing biofortified grain, but they just couldn't get hold of it. There was a real issue with availability, and I think that's something we really need to look closely at. If the willingness to grow it is there and the acceptance from the community is there, we really do need to be ramping up that availability of those biofortified varieties so farmers can access them easily. And of course, the vision would be that virtually all varieties were biofortified. And that would be a huge step forwards. I mean, other strategies that can be employed to improve nutritional status obviously include supplementation, as is happening in this acute phase post the flood, but that's not sustainable for the long term. There was a real need for capacity building at the community level for nutrition support. We spoke with some lady health workers. They had very little training in what to do in nutrition in emergencies. There are UNICEF programs, training programs at various universities and other institutions around the country, and enhancing the knowledge level and capacity building for lady health workers and other healthcare professionals in nutrition in emergencies would certainly help for the future. Coordination of rapid response by local groups. As I mentioned earlier, in the north, it was local groups that were responding to the flood situation through food distribution. That was on a very ad hoc basis, informal coordination on WhatsApp between various groups. Certainly a step forward would be a coordination of that for the future, setting up local hubs so that as and when disasters strike in the future, they are primed and ready to move and have an action plan already worked out would certainly be a step forwards. And improved early warning systems and regional strategies so that livestock can be moved to safer ground and grain stores can be protected better or moved if necessary if a flood is on its way. So those are my thoughts and reflections on my recent visit, and I look forward to discussing some of these further with you later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Nicola Lowe, and for an insightful presentation. And it's heart-touching pictures what happened with the recent floods in Pakistan. This is something I think as a climate change, the situation is going to be even worse in coming years. So I think this is where it's a need for us to work together. I think my colleague here, Dr. Farah Naz, over to you, please, and then take up the next session as well. So thank you again for your talk. And I think we're not going to ask questions here because just in time, I would say today. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Nicola. Do you want to unshare your screen, please? You are mute. Nicola, sorry, you are mute. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Farah, over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So I have the pleasure to introduce Mr. Faiz Rasool. He has been working with GAIN for past 12 years, but he has an overall experience of working in the field of nutrition, for over 20 years now. He has worked with the private sector. He has worked with various different organizations, and the longest tenure, however, is with the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition. Nowadays he's serving as a senior policy advisor, and he has lots of knowledge and information to share. So I would like to hand over to Faiz Rasool. Later on, if people have questions, people can ask. I will share his email address so that people can ask him any other questions that they want to later on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Farah. And I hope Dr. Khalid and colleagues, you can hear me well. Can I share my screen, please?
Yes, please. Yeah, we can see, sir. Can you make it bigger?
I hope it's better now and you can see the overall screen.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Khalid, and I'm really appreciative for this opportunity and your wonderful sequence, how you manage different experts. I heard Dr. Iqbal Saab, I heard Dr. Farooq Saab, and who actually gave the overall context on climate change and its implications on food security and all the pillars. Really impressed by Professor Nicola Lowe and how she has really highlighted the variety of aspects, starting from the overall climate change context and then coming down to biofortification and all these food fortification areas. I'm impressed by your picture, Nicola, of driving a tractor. That's great. Coming down to my presentation, it has three different parts. And number one, I would like to give very quick background and introduction about GAIN, how GAIN has been supporting the overall context of improving nutrition globally. And then I will share with you the Pakistan context on food safety. And finally, I would be happy to share very quickly about the understanding of our population, qualified population of Pakistan, which we captured through our rapid survey to understand what the people are thinking about existing policies on food safety and how we can really understand and translate the people understanding, particularly our educated community understanding about the food safety. Before moving forward, I would mention here that the year of 2021 is known as United Nations Food System Summit year. And this year has been known as Food System Year. And 2021 was the year where all the member states of UN, they worked hard and came up with a national food system transformation pathway. Pakistan has been also one of the countries who worked very hard, and Ministry of Food Security and Research, they lead the whole work in the country, and Pakistan Agriculture Research Council and the chairman at PARC was the leading expert who actually led all the national and sub-national dialogues to come up and engage the most relevant stakeholders. And we are happy to mention that we engage almost 500 experts on food safety, agriculture, and economy to triangulate the current situation and how to understand and translate all the learning and experiences and what we have right now in front of us in the shape of our Pakistan National Food System Transformation Pathway. But under this discussion, what we are going to start, about GAIN, very relevant context at a global level. GAIN works to improve the consumption of safe and nutritious foods. And this improving consumption is morely focused to increase the consumer demand. particularly for the nutritious and safe food, how this nutritious and safe food can be demanded by our populations to serve them out for improving their nutrition situation. Second, accessibility is one of the key area and key pillar of food security across the globe, and same is the Pakistani situation. And also how to strengthen the enabling environment across the globe and while working in Pakistan. This is an area we have been engaging and working with all the stakeholders to create an environment which is more supportive to adopt the food security challenges and to cope up with all the key issues what we are facing these days. I would mention here that our key issue, our key challenge basically for what we have been working in, and particularly why UN thought about the UN Food System Summit during 2021 is our key challenge. And this challenge is being faced by the globe, and all my expert colleagues, they may know even better than me that how almost half of the population is suffering a very serious situation where our half of the population, they could not afford healthy diet, and malnutrition in all forms is the biggest preventable burden. And this is for every country. And this data actually not only at the global level, if we think and read about Pakistani situation, we are really contributing to this bad and worse situation. Having more than 26 million population, those are not meeting their minimum dietary requirement, minimum dietary energy needs, in fact. And same is the situation on undernourishment, and 34 million households are seriously affected because of this situation. This situation is not stopping. And the logic behind all of this situation coming down to Pakistan, if we think about the Pakistan food security and snapshot, two key pillars, like two key indicators, like not getting enough food, 40% of our population, severe food insecurity, and our population, our prevalence of undernutrition, these two key areas really reflecting our challenges, what we are facing in terms of Pakistani undernutrition. And the picture is translating in a way, 40% of our children are stunted. More than 29% of our children are underweight, and closer to 9% are overweight, unfortunately. Our women and children, they are also anemic and facing serious challenges. So what is the context and point here, that we are not only facing the issues of challenges of food security and food need and food scarcity, we are also facing the serious concern across the globe and also in the country on food safety issues. Because we know all, each year one case of foodborne illness for every 11 people on the planet is what we are facing. So we are not stopping here. 6 out of top 10 risk factors in the global burden of disease are directly linked and connected with poor quality of diet. So this situation is really connecting and putting importance, how much important it is to think about the quality of diets. And if we are thinking about that, the picture is more worse. More than 600 million cases of foodborne illnesses each year, 420,000 deaths every year, and unfortunately 125,000 deaths are our children, those are under 5. Coming down to Pakistan situation again, population, we have reached the 5th most populous country at the globe. And let's compare our situation, how much food is required and what is the food production here in the country. The situation is very alarming. Right now, if we have by the last year figures to 215 million population, and this will reach 350 million by 2050 as per some estimates. And in that situation, we would be in need of almost double food, 130 million metric tons of food on daily basis for our population to serve them. So have that context in front of us. My dear colleagues, situation to improve the food security, food safety in the country has been placed as a central place. But unfortunately, we are still behind. If we think about the devolution and the food control systems in the country, we learned that during a pre-devolution period, start from when Pakistan got independence, 1947 till 2010, we can see that we were having very few areas, very few policies, very few regulations and laws and rules. Those were covering our overall food and food-related policies and our implementations and our interventions. These were Pure Food Ordinance, very well known, Pure Food Stuff Control Act. We have been working on Pakistan Hotel and Restaurant Act and few more. So these were very few areas. Those were helping us out to support the food safety situation in the country. But high appreciations to Government of Pakistan, what has been done after post-devolution. So we can have a look into that very clearly, that this is a long list of developments. Those started after 2021, and during the last 1 decade, we have reached where we have Government of Pakistan has established diversified kind of food safety and quality authorities across the country. Think about Punjab, one of the biggest province. We do have a Food Authority Act 2011, and Food Authority has been established in Punjab province. Same is the situation with Balochistan. In 2014, Act was passed and Food Authority was established, although slightly later, but it's not working. KP Food Authority is there under the Act of 2014. Sindh Food Authority is there. Punjab Pure Food Regulations has been revised. Pakistan Standards on Quality Control Authority, they have added some new products items into that. And in addition to that, ICT, Azad Jammu and Kashmir and GB acts are also in progress on food safety. So having these situations, still, what the key challenges are in front of us. If we think about the key issues and key challenges of food safety in front of us, clarity is one key area. Coherence has been a serious trouble into our overall landscape, and the responsibility across the key stakeholders has been observed as a key challenge in our overall landscape to respond to the food safety situation in the country. A policy and strategic recommendations, what we are getting out of the current scenario and current situation is food safety strategy to provide a roadmap. Coordination between all competent authorities is really required at this moment of time. And also this will be improving the situation in future if we can really improve the coordination level what we have right now. Enabling ease of doing business, very much important because it has implications not only on livelihood, it has implication on overall economic situation, it has implication to our health. Farm to fork approach and traceability has been and recognized as a serious challenge, and this has also been reported into our Pakistan National Food System Transformation Pathway, which has been submitted by last year, 2021, by Ministry of National Food Security and Research. So the key area coming down to food security, food safety perspective, and under this, what GAIN has been doing. Well, allow me to pitch GAIN here, how GAIN visualized the situation and how GAIN worked to change the scenario, what we are facing these days. Currently, although we have established, Government of Pakistan has been successfully implemented all of these acts on food safety. And but we have observed, and all of the participants, they may now even comment better on that our food authorities are at the initial stage. They do need some support in technical perspective. So in that context, what GAIN has been doing during the last couple of years, almost last 4 years. So this has been a list of long a sport like communication strategy, which has been observed as a challenge, and that was not existence within the food safety and quality authorities. So GAIN has been working with relevant food safety authorities to work on a communication strategy to engage and communicate with the most relevant population across the country, and also using the most relevant and appropriate tools to reach and communicate the messages on food safety. In addition to this, there was another understanding and observation that standard operating procedures on sampling and inspection is very important aspect in food safety and quality, but these were not available across the country. So GAIN provided technical assistance to all of these relevant entities those are working in the shape of food safety authorities to work on these operating procedures. And finally, now all of these food authorities, they do have these standard operating procedures on sampling and inspection, and they are really helping out our overall performance to improve the food safety challenges across the country. Institutional capacity building has been identified, and we have been working on that. And government has been really provided leadership support and to improve the situation. Information education material has been developed. So these are the list of all the things that we have been doing for what to improve the overall food safety situation in the country. As I mentioned to you earlier, that I would like to share 2 to 3 minutes what we have done just to understand the Pakistan food safety situation and the understanding within our educated and qualified population. This rapid survey, this was having 11 questions, and almost 350 people responded to this 1 to 2 minutes survey. The age was more than 80, almost 85% of people were below the age of 30. It shows that our youth has been contributed well to this survey. 60% of respondents were graduates. So again, another area that people who has responded, they were graduate and they understand, they have the basic education, they understand what is the situation, and they can respond well to improve the overall food safety situation. So in response to the question on the understanding of food safety, majority of respondents, they came up with a vision and response that food that will not harm our health or the food that will not cause any disease is the safe food. So this is what, you can understand, and we can all understand the vision, what has respondents highlighted here. Almost 83% of the respondents, they said that food safety is not only national, it's a global challenge. So the work should be from all the corners, from different perspectives, not a single organization. Even the government cannot improve the situation unless the global efforts should be highlighted, the national efforts, and including in a more inclusive way, all the relevant stakeholders, engaging all the national stakeholders, starting from federal, provincial to district at the sea level to improve the situation. 88% respondents, they answered very positively on that food safety and entity authorities are working in the country. So this is making a situation where we wanted to reach. Another very important feedback, what we found out of this survey, there's regarding the most relevant stakeholders, food processors and food business operators are putting at the top. They're the key entities. Those need to take care, those need to play their role to improve the food safety. The second position comes to food authorities. If the food authorities are quite open, they are supportive to these food businesses and food processors and food operators, then the situation would be quite easy to improve. I would go to point 3, and this is management of mandis and food market. This was quite new area even for us at GAIN, that how these mandis could really play an integral role in improving food safety situation. Although our respondents also mentioned about household consumers and farmers, but putting our lens and focus on top 3, this really tells the whole story, that how food safety and food quality authorities working and engaging with the relevant food businesses, and also with the points or mandis or markets where they are located. So developing a triangulation between these 3 key areas would be a significant impact on our food safety situation. Moving forward on that, so on the top 3 choices, like food safety SOPs should be followed, how we can change and improve the situation. So respondents mentioned that food safety SOPs should be there and should be followed. A national level awareness campaign is required to be developed and implemented. Food safety SOPs are followed at food processing level and food production level. So I would not go beyond that, but these 3 areas also complementing the previous aspect which we mentioned under the key stakeholders. Knowledge about the food safety policy, I'm coming down to the final situation. all of the participants would be amazed to know that 70% of the respondents, they came up with the idea and response that government of Pakistan, we do have a national food safety policy. But unfortunately, it's really difficult to mention that in Pakistan, we don't have any national food safety policy. So in the absence of any national food safety policy guidelines, how we can even imagine to improve the situation. At the final slide, the last question which we would like to mention here, in response to the question that Pakistan have adequate food safety standards to be followed. So the response is 50-50. Again, this is reflecting something that our qualified and educated people, they still believe that there is a national level policy available, which is actually not. On the other hand, they believe that we do have food safety standards established, and half of the respondents, they were on the other side that there's no standards available. So having these situation in front of us, what is the way forward for improving food safety and quality situation in the country? So 4 key areas. We need to capacitate our food safety authorities, number one. How? This is what we have already mentioned, and further we need to put more focus on that. Evidence generation is required in a more diversified way so that our efforts, not only on food security, but also on food safety, can be enforced and can be strengthened. And finally, the role of private sector. This is something which we discussed earlier, that our food regulatory authorities, they need to closely engage with businesses to give them an impression that these are not, they're not policing, they are supporting the businesses to improve the food safety situation. Finally, the building up constructive interaction with the stakeholders, such as food business operators, our consumers, and the international community would give us some kind of more support to improve the situation. Sharing with you the current situation, we do have a national food security policy 2018, but as all the other participants and speakers mentioned, our existing food security policy is not really addressing the challenges of climate change, how the climate change situation can affect the Pakistani food security. So this is an area where all the stakeholders would like to propose and request that our existing food security policy is really need to be reviewed in the context of climate change, or we can really improve the situation. Food safety policy doesn't exist, unfortunately. This is an area where all the stakeholders, we need to mobilize, we need to sensitize the relevant institutions to come up and work on that with this. And we are happy to mention here that again, in collaboration with Ministry of Planning, Development and Special Initiative, they collaborated, and we are going to start our work during next couple of months to formulate a national food safety policy for Pakistan. Data integration has been identified as a key challenge. Either we don't have the data, and if we have the data at grassroots level, the integration of data is a serious challenge in the country. Healthy diets, we don't have any driving force. We don't have any guidance document in the country on healthy diets. So in this context, Ministry of National Health Services and Regulations and Coordination, they have recently highlighted their interest to get some technical assistance from GAIN to work on this national healthy diets policy. And under this, national guidelines on front of pack labeling would be highlighted. And also, we need to adopt some sustainable approaches, like my colleague Nicola mentioned about the biofortified foods. We do have biofortified varieties available, but those are not, on the policy perspective, how we can really scale up these approaches. Finally, I would say that Government of Pakistan has shown high level of commitment during last year under UN Food Systems Summit final event. And government has joined Coalition for Action for Safe Food for All, wonderful step and highly appreciative we all of us to Government of Pakistan. And the other coalition is Healthy Diets Coalition, where Government of Pakistan has not only joined, but taking right actions to improve the situation. Thank you so much. Over to you, Khalid Saab.
Thank you so much, Faz Rasool Saab. It's become a little bit tricky when we are doing these events over the Zoom. So, but again, thank you very much for the survey results, and the numbers are really interesting. And I think it's now the question of like the recipe is there, so getting the pizza ready and putting in the oven. So that's the thing. So I think today's chairs have done a fantastic job. Ms. Farah, thank you so much for your time as well. We have our co-chair for the event, Dr. Khair Muhammad Kakar. He was the previous managing director for Oilseed Development Board. And again, oilseed is one of the, other food products which was fortified and need to be fortified as well. So maybe over to Dr. Khair Muhammad Kakar. He's based in, he's at the University of Khuzdar in Balochistan. So seeing from their side, the challenge of food security and the nutrition. Over to you, Dr. Faz Rasool Saab. Sorry, to Dr. Kakar Saab. And thank you, Dr. Faz, for your talk. Thank you. Dr. Kakar, you're mute, please.
Sir.
Yes, please. We can hear you now. So again, you are mute. Yes, now we can hear. Yes, please.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid, for providing this great opportunity, being a participant of this elite seminar or conference. So a little bit comments about this food security and post-flood effects were here in Pakistan, particularly, and then especially in Balochistan. So right now I'm seated in one of the engineering university of Pakistan by the name of UET Khuzdar. Before this, I was having the portfolio of the managing director for Pakistan LC department. Right now, after post-flood, what we are doing and what the Pakistani community is doing to ensure the food security in Pakistan, and particularly in the flood-affected areas in both two branches. One is like Balochistan, second is Sindh. So as far as Balochistan is concerned, right now after this conference, I would be leaving for Karachi to have a meeting with the donor agencies for donations, collection of the donations. They have already invited me to come to Karachi for Sindh and to have your own contribution to address the flood-affected communities. As far as the food security is concerned, a little bit to contribute in this conference, my humble request with all the participants, with all the donor agencies, with all the organizers, particularly to Dr. Khalid Saab, that we may contact the International Organization for Food Security, because 1 month before I was
just gone mute again, sir.
Place. Are you listening to me, Dr. Khalid?
Yes, are we listening? Yes, now we can hear you. Yes, yeah.
Okay, so my humble request from this organization, the organizing committee, would be just after this seminar, we may contact the International Organization for Food Security, and I will share all the credential, all the detail of that head office of the International Food Organization for Food Security. I mean, 36 countries are the member. Pakistan is also a member of the International Organization for Food Security. Their head office is in Kazakhstan, that is Nur Sultan, and I myself is going to offer the services to be contacted with them and to get some benefit for the flood affected areas like in Sindh, in Balochistan, and that particular area of Punjab as well. So I myself visited all these areas. So this is a great contribution. The participants, thank you very much for all the speakers, for all the elite scientists who contributed a lot in this through this conference. And we would be taking benefit of this, the ideas they have shared, the knowledge they have shared. So on my part, my university and the International Organization of Food Security, we are in contact with each other. But through this conference, my humble suggestion would be that we may contact the International Organization for Food Security to divert all their financial and technical benefits to Pakistan, especially the flood affected areas. Thank you very much, Dr. Sam.
Thank you so much, Dr. Khair Muhammad, for introducing us to the International Organization of Food Security based in Kazakhstan. So definitely, I think that this whole area is because as an academic, as a researchers, we need to think about it. And I think some solutions are short term, some are medium term, some are longer term. So I think when we talk about longer term, we need to have the capacity building of our young nation, students, because that's the biggest resource we have, the youngsters in Pakistan. So before further delay, we go to the next session, which is quite important, which is about the innovations in the, how do we look at those innovations address, now just we have heard about the policy, the data, the challenge, but just a second. But now going forward, which are the innovations? What are the solutions that we can see? So I know looking at this, I would say the positive side of the picture. So know the problem. So what solutions we have? So I think that session now we have interesting chairs lined up. First of all, I would like to introduce the chair of the next session, Professor Fateh Mari Saab. He's the Vice Chancellor for the Sindh Agriculture University, Tanajam. He was the catalyst in bringing the scientific community together and having that dialogue and introducing those sort of innovations, right from climate smart agriculture, conservative agriculture, conservation agriculture, I would say. And these days we call regenerative agriculture. Agriculture is the key subject playing role in the climate change scenario. So Dr. Fateh Mari has been also serving with the Pakistan Higher Education Commission, and he was also involved with the Sindh government, with the Planning Commission of Sindh as well. So over to Dr. Fateh Mari Saab. Thank you so much for your time, sir. We'll love to hear your, I would say, keynote talk and then chairing the session for next one. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Khalid Saab. Thank you that you organized the session. You have this magic of organizing such a wonderful sessions. And thank you, Comstech, and other co-organizers and SK and other co-organizers that we have organized the session. I think topic is very important. Food security is a serious challenge. We have had these problems, and food security has become a challenge after this flooding. So this after this flood disaster, actually food security is one of the major challenges. Perhaps we will be short of sowing wheat, and our next crops are also to be affected. So what we did as soon as we received this flooding situation, being a responsible organization and being a university, having a large number of youth with us, they have a lot of energy and ideas, and they have a lot of innovation in their mind. So we started relief operations in a number of districts, and that was organized by students. I could see their strength, and they could really organize such kind of relief operation in absence of international organizations, because previously in other emergencies we generally were dependent on international organization. Now they are not that much in Pakistan, so we will have to face it as a homegrown response. And then afterwards we organized one conference in collaboration with IBA Karachi, and myself and leadership of IBA Karachi, we did that conference. That was on September 1st. It was like the initial days of flooding in Pakistan, and so there was a very good discussion. So we had academia with us, vice chancellors of agriculture universities, vice chancellors of business universities, vice chancellors of other universities. So we, and there were, I think somebody has to mute their mic. So we had 5 key recommendations, or key means conclusions during that conference. Dr. Khair Mohammed Saab, can you mute yourself, Dr. Khair Kakar Saab? Khalid Mohammed Saab, can you ask somebody?
Yes, I'll ask. I'll just ask
Okay,
the ICCPS team. Can you please unmute anybody who's not talking? Yes. Now over to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So there were 5 key conclusions. One, that we need to have our institutional and human resource capacity to face that kind of disasters in future. God forbids if there's any disaster. So I think that is one of the area. And some of the universities, we offer degrees and short-term courses for disaster management, but we need to build our capacity. That was one. Second thing is that generally when there's a disaster, we request international organizations and especially the donor agencies to do the damage assessment and propose solutions. And so there's no, actually we don't blame these donors, but the donor organization, their priority would be to have large scale infrastructure projects. And so in this case, if they will propose, they will not propose propose the community-based infrastructure and community-based restoration of livelihoods. So that was the second conclusion. Third is that because we in terms of floods, we need long-term planning and flood mitigation. And the fourth was that we need to diversify ourselves as well. And currently we are generally, for the purpose of food security, we are generally dependent on irrigated agriculture. And that is the river basin, the river Indus basin. And if there is any flood because of riverine reason or because of the torrential rains or because of the heavy rains. So in this case, our irrigated agriculture is heavily hit. So we don't have other components activated like the dryland agriculture and urban agriculture. And though the major contribution still would be from the irrigated agriculture, but we need to focus on the other components as well. And that will not only complement the effort of irrigated agriculture for the purpose of food security, but that will actually help us reducing our import bills, because otherwise we depend on import of commodities. So that is, I think, one of the area, and that would be an innovation as well, because in these areas, whatever is produced could actually be compliant with the food safety parameters, and especially whatever is produced in dryland areas is a kind of organically produced food and without any known and unknown chemical compound. So I think the food safety parameter, the earlier speaker was focusing on food safety. We have this, after 18th Amendment, provincial food security authorities, food safety authorities or food authorities, and their focus would be the quality of food and food safety. So that if we activate that component too, food security is a huge challenge, and malnourishment is a huge challenge in Pakistan. Nearing 50% of our kids are malnourished, and many of our kids are facing the stunting, and mothers and women and lactating mothers, they are also facing food security challenge. There are other reasons as well. In addition to the access to the food, there are other reasons, those as well. So to me, I think that we need to face this food security challenge, and this flood has triggered it. So perhaps we and myself and Vice Chancellor of Faisalabad University, we were together the day before yesterday in Sakhar and Faisalabad, and we thought that maybe government need to prioritize agriculture, and so that we could really restore the livelihoods, and agriculture has that potential to grow on a higher rate as compared to other sectors of economy, commodities, services, and industries. So agriculture needs to have that. And second thing is youth. They have many innovative ideas, and engaging youth. Our flood relief experience shows that engaging youth actually helps a lot. So engagement of youth and wheat campaign, from every village we have students. So these students would actually be very helpful if we organize road shows and promote the wheat sowing campaign, and if the lands are available for wheat sowing. Otherwise, the other crops of oil seeds and sunflower and say other things. So that is also there. And so in addition, going to the research agenda, I think seed improvement and variety and range of crops, range of varieties and range of crops. Similarly, livestock breed improvement, that is also variety of breeds, and then variety of animals as well. So I think these are the areas, perhaps for the purpose of research, we can focus, and comstech and Upsign, other organizations can take a lead. My university and other universities of agriculture, we will be very happy to participate. Higher Education Commission of Pakistan has already formed a group of vice chancellors of agriculture universities, and we are undertaking an assessment and proposing some of the solutions that Higher Education Commission will prioritize for the research grants, so that R&D aspect is also covered. That will be a major contribution from the universities. So with this, I think we have very good speakers in the session, and so with these opening comments, I will request Khalid Saab to proceed further. Thank you very much, Khalid Saab.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fateh Mari Saab. Professor, your time is very precious, and I know you've been always very supportive. And I think for these dialogues, the these education institutions, they are the knowledge hub, and we always go back to them to seek guidance. Thank you again for your help and support. I will just introduce our next co-chair of the session, Dr. Aisha Riaz. She's Associate Professor at the University of Agriculture, which is new name is PMAS. I'm also the alumni of the university. So over to Dr. Aisha, please. Thank you. And introduce the next session speakers as well. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid. I must say it's a very informative and very good session. And I was listening all the talks. They were really very beneficial for all of us. This session is actually innovative solutions in achieving food security. And as Professor Fateh Mari, he already has elaborated it in great words. And we definitely need research collaborations and grants and R&D and many other new innovative things, solutions in that. As far as the role of animals and animal products are concerned, I'm a veterinarian, and I must say that this is a very important part of it, because most of our the rural areas, they have small holdings of animals or large holding, and in case of floods, we have seen that many people, they have lost their animals, and now they do not have anything for as their to earn their livelihood. This is a very important part, and I would say a few words for that, and then I will introduce the speaker. This is often overlooked. Meat, milk, eggs, and other animal products, including fish and other seafood, they always play an important role in achieving food security for several reasons. First, animal products are very important, and they are high quality, balanced, and highly bioavailable protein and numerous critical micronutrients in those, like in iron, zinc, vitamin B12 and A. Secondly, because they are recognized as high quality food, global demand for animal products is also certain to continue to increase dramatically. And thirdly, farm animals, they are critical to our sustainable agricultural system, and especially for smallholders who comprise most of the world's farmers. Fourthly, ruminants such as buffalo, cattle, goats, and sheep efficiently convert the forages and grasslands into high quality animal products. However, sustainable farm animal production, which is the need of time, it also need a complete understanding, because they have a great impact on the environment. So it is very important to talk about innovative solution, including the sustainable livestock production, including the innovation in plants, in high nutrition, resistant to pests, disease, heat, and many things. So, solving these problems and overcoming the obstacles to sustainable food security, we do not think that these are options, because food security is critical not only to national security but also to global stability. So we need focus on these points, and I would now, I would now introduce our first speaker, Dr. Shahid Mansu. He is the director NIPG, and is the chief scientist in NIPG, and he's Sitara Imtiaz, and we are very honored to have him in our session. And he has a long list of publications, long list of projects, and many other things, and he is a group leader of plant molecular virology and gene silencing in NIPG. He has led many research projects funded nationally and internationally, including MINFAL, USDA, International Foundation of Science, Sweden, MOST, HEC, PARC, and PARB. So I will not take further any time, and I will directly go to Dr. Shahid Mansu, and again say we are really honored to have you in this session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. So thank you. First of all, I must thank the team, and especially Dr. Khalid Mahmood for inviting me. Basically, you know, there are two parts to food security. One is that the technology part part which we call as genetic gain. So in genetic gain, we need to improve genetics so that the productivity is enhanced. So इसमें पहला जो phase था, we enhanced our productivity of our crops through green evolution. But those technologies
Shahid, you just gone mute, please. Dr. Shahid, do you mind just to unmute yourself?
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. Am I audible?
Yes, please.
Okay. So thank you, Khalid, and all the team members for inviting me. So I just will take about 5-10 minutes to just explain quickly that what we do and what is our intervention that we have for food security. So food security, as you know, I don't have to introduce that, to emphasize that it is as critically important as having border security. So because we, especially in a country where the population rate is very high. We also have some problems. One is that soil health, which has not been addressed adequately. So we need to develop sustainable technologies for meeting our food requirements. So as Madam has just introduced that, is not only that we have to increase the productivity of crops, but also of livestock. So I will just very quickly go through the technologies that are available to enhance genetic gain. So we have over the year there are no new tools which are available now to do things precisely and with better understanding. So these tools are genomics and genome editing. So in genomics, you can select the trait. You can find out, for example, if you are interested in drought tolerance or heat tolerance or salt tolerance. So these genes can be available in germplasm. So there are large number of genomes that have been sequenced. For example, there are more than 30,000 genomes of rice, which means that this information is cheaply and freely available. So this is a great resource not only for crop but also livestock. So all the livestock species around the world have been sequenced, which means that we know the genetic makeup of those. So I will give you example of one example of use of genomics in crop improvement. For example, so the first example is rice. So all the varieties that we have produced recently, which they are based on genomic selection, which means that we know the genes which we are incorporated in our basmati rice. So these genes were the gene for bacterial blight resistance. Now the second example is the livestock. So livestock is an area where genomics has really helped a lot, and how it has helped that what we call as genomic selection. So over the years, the genes which are involved in meat production or milk production, quality of milk, they have been identified. And those genes, the markers, or what we call as single nucleotide polymorphism or SNPs, they are now deposited onto chips. So that information is already available. It has been widely used in livestock improvement. So it's kind of a something that what our breeders in livestock do is that they have to do progeny testing. So here you don't have to wait for progeny. You can have what we call as estimated breeding value by just looking at their DNA markers. And the selection accuracy is about 90% or more, which is great because in that way you can persistently enhance genetic gain and increase the productivity in terms of milk production, quality of milk, and all that. At NIPG, what we have done is that we have sequenced all genomes of cattle and buffalo from Pakistan, because these are the most important species as far as milk production is concerned. Now, the available chip which are commercially available, they are based on information which is on exotic breed, like Holstein Friesian. So by using our local species so now we have a range of markers which are available for screening our cattle and buffalo and for this we have proposed to develop our own specialized chip with much less number of markers so that it is available to all common farmers. Another very important intervention which has been adopted around the world but not so far in Pakistan is use of sex semen, and that allows you to have female of good quality. So I mean, because of the progress in artificial insemination, this is possible. It has been practiced in Pakistan, but no facility for sex semen is available. So we have proposed to federal government to establish this system. Now, the second technology that I would like to mention is the genome editing. This is something like that you have written a book and you want to have some changes so that improve the accessibility or the function of the genome. And I'm very happy to tell you that even the countries like Europe and UK, and Japan and Australia and obviously US, North America, South America, they have okayed this technology. So the first thing is to establish this technology in our major crops for enhancing the what we call as quality as well as quantity. So this is for the first time that we can address genes which are related to enhanced yield, and I'm very happy to tell you that some of those mutants are already available. So so this is as compared to what we used to do by using radiation or chemical mutagen. This is a mutation which are highly precise. So we have established this technology in several crops, including cotton, wheat, rice, potato, and we are starting tomato. So the idea is that to enhance the quality as well as yield of this product as well as resilience to environment. Now, environment is something that we are now facing. I mean, it is there. Climate change is there. Yesterday there was a storm, unknown, that in this month of October we have such a storm with hailstorm. So I think that we have to now live with the this climate change scenario. So for these again the technology that are available. So what I hope and we wish is that all the stakeholders in universities, in research institutions, come together and work as a team, because the team that we have, the strength is not much, but obviously if we work together, everybody can win. So I will invite that all the stakeholders from abroad and Pakistan join together, use these technologies and bring a new revolution in terms of yield and quality. So, and this time we have to be very careful that we need to bring the technologies which have less impact on our environment. So obviously crop varieties and livestock which produce less pollutants, utilize less chemicals like fertilizers, pesticide, and other agents. So I think with these words, I must say that this is the right time to invest in these technologies, come up with as a team and bring the expertise which are available abroad in Pakistan and work together. So I think that there's a very important role that Upsign can play. And without hesitation, I must say that I've got so much facilitation from our colleagues, especially Dr. Khalid, that he has helped that to access some of the required material from abroad. So I must say that with these words, I thank the organizers to give me opportunity, and I'm ready to take questions. I think that there are some questions. There were some hand raised. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think so. Zakir Sayal wants to ask a question. Can you please unmute yourself and ask the question?
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid and your team. Well, this is very good event and has been organized at very right time. I am Zakir Syal, Director, Research Institute and Punjab Irrigation Department from Lahore, Pakistan, and currently doing my doctorate from Charlestown University, Australia, in groundwater. So, Dr. Khalid, many people have talked about many different things. Very good. It was very learning. But I would also like to add or ask that about when we talk about the flood and other hydroclimatical disasters, we must consider the water sources as well. Being a water student, I must encourage it to take it on the adverse impact, but at the same time, we should also take as a resource. Flood water harvesting and rainwater harvesting is being practiced throughout the world. So in my opinion, I think we should also, when we talk about the food security, and the water becomes the most important component input for that food security, food production, crop production, everything. And
Dr. Zakir, we cannot hear you. I think so. There is some network problem. Sir, did you, Dr. Shahid, did you hear?
Sorry, I was just, Dr. Khalid, I was just adding that we should think about floodwater and rainwater harvesting, manage aquifer recharge. In different areas of Punjab, we have monitored that the floods have positive impacts on groundwater. There is water table rise. And then regarding hill torrents, we should include the watershed management and other intervention. Instead of creating havoc, we should go for the water source planning and management from watershed level. And then we should go for the rainfall and flood water harvesting, then can also support us toward the food secured Pakistan. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the comment. And Dr. Shahid, would you like to say something on it?
I think that, I mean, definitely these are very important interventions. So that's the problem with the climate change, that either we have no water, drought, or we have a lot of water floods. So this is definitely very important to manage this resource. So definitely I agree with the suggestion by Dr. Syal. I wish him that, you know, he completes his PhD and come back to serve Pakistan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for such comprehensive talk, and all the you talked about all the editing and innovating, particularly the genome editing and the other innovative solutions. We will discuss further many things in our discussion session, and please your questions. Get ready your questions, and then we will talk at that time. We will go to the next our speaker, and our next speaker is Professor Dr. Saima. She is Dean Faculty of Animal Production and Technology, University of Veterinary and Animal Sciences, Lahore, and she is the first female dean in US. She has vast experience in the field of animal and poultry production, as well as in the evaluation of various nutritional elements of livestock and poultry related food. Is Dr. Saima here? Dr. Saima, are you here? Are you, can you please message if you're here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Over to you. Yeah. From Savi, can you play their slide?
Okay, I'll play them. So I have with me, just a second. Just give me 1 second. Thank you so much, Dr. Saima. Maybe if you want to maybe quickly introduce yourself by the time we get your slides ready.
Yes.
Okay. There. Many slides which I have, so I don't know which ones it's which. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you for inviting me. Today I discuss the topic with you is sustainable livestock production. So it is a very important system that is economically viable and environmentally sound and profitable and prosperous to the farming community. There are global food challenges. In global food challenges, there is high demand of population. The population is increasing day by day. There are 3 billion people will join the middle class, and now they are increasing up to 4.9 billion in 2030. There is variability in the population, and there is high demand of animal protein. 50 to 70% more animal sources for required for the next 30 years. And there is scarcity of resources. The scarcity is due to the climatic change, due to the fodder and there is fodder cultivation, less fodder cultivation, and there is less water, and there is more housing societies, and there is the scarcity of feed. This sustainable production system will provide the financial sustainability. So the concern over the sustainability is that it provides healthy and nutritious diet. It provides the protein and the energy, and there is food security at number of scales. Food for people should be increased as compared to the feed for the animals. It increases the contribution to the economic growth. So one of our problem is that there are mycotoxins in the feed. One of the mycotoxin is aflatoxins. These are produced through the fungal origin, and they comes in feed due to the hot and humid environment, which is favorable to them, and they produce the toxins, which are known as B1 and B2 in feed, and they comes in milk and known as M1 and M2. Next slide, please. No. Go to the back slide. Yes. So these mycotoxins are babies and susceptible to these mycotoxins. Why? Because they consume the milk products and milk, and these mycotoxins affected their central nervous system. Next slide, please. Excuse me, next slide, please. Then how the aflatoxin works. This aflatoxin produce toxins in the gastrointestinal tract and make the intestines hemorrhages, enteritis, and impair the rumen function. There is diarrhea and produce the ketone bodies, which damage the liver, and it decrease the production and change the milk composition. When there is aflatoxins, there is the production of the there is also susceptible to more. This is more susceptible to the bacteria, and which produce the mastitis and laminitis. This all made to decrease in the feed intake, that is anorexia, and there is decrease in feed efficiency, and it would ultimately cause the reproductive health is also affected, and there is irregular heat, low conception rate, and causes the ovarian cyst, and there is embryonic loss where there is no pregnancy. Next slide, please. Excuse me, next slide, please. One of our research by the researchers in the US concluded that when there is increase in the milk production, there is less in the aflatoxins in milk, as you see in the graph. These are the standards of the aflatoxins in parts per billion in the different feedstuffs. That may be 200 or maybe 50 and 1 to 100. The more susceptible crop is maize and the cotton seed cake in the animal feedstuff. If we see how much losses occur due to the aflatoxins, then there is 65,000 rupees loss due to the difference in milk field yield. That milk production, fat milk yield is affected, and it become a loss in it is 4.32 kg. And if we conclude that there is 50 rupees per kg of milk, then the losses are 65,000 rupees per day. And there is difference in the calving interval. That is, it increases in the calving interval. Next slide, please. So now, if we see all this, what are our strengths? Our strength is we have more mechanized system. We have professional veterinarians and good potential of breeds. And there are more good quality seeds. These are our strengths. And weakness is that there are more than 90% livestock farmers which are small holder, and there are poor resources. And they uses the traditional method of ploughing and rearing the animals. So these are our weaknesses. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Any question?
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Saima. Actually, questions we will be going to discuss in the discussion session, as we are running short of time. Thank you very much for this valuable talk and giving us the results and all of your students, and very valuable conclusion. Now I would like to invite our next speaker, Engineer Dr. Mushtaq Gill. He's a Tanga Imtiaz and is founder of, he's a founder member and chief executive of Sakan Services, and also heading the agricultural engineering section. He has worked as Director General Agriculture Water Management, Government of Punjab from 1991 to 2008. He's working for the paradigm shift from conservative agriculture to the climate smart agriculture, resource conservation practices and technologies. I would like to invite, and we are very, very, very much honored to have Dr. Mushtaq Gill here in our session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, everybody, and it's really an ample opportunity to participate in the second session, which is chaired by the most leading academia, Sindh Agriculture University, Professor Dr. Aisha Riaz from PMAS, and this is regarding the innovation solutions. So what we would like to share with you is a kind of immediate solution on a second revolution, which is on the post-floods scenario. So may I request to Dr. Khalid Saab to please just share the video presentation, which highlights the need for the conservation agriculture in the post-flood scenario in Pakistan, and then I'll just share some slides and the leading role which we can, SAWI could also join in this great mission with the academia, researchers, and other organizations. Over to Dr. Khalid sir. Can you please start from the...
Thank you so much, sir. I think we just have to pause for 1-2 minutes. We have got a special request from Vice Chancellor, International Islamic University, Bahawalpur. So because they have to just go for another meeting. So if they can just make their comments and then we continue our discussions. Is it okay for you, sir? Just a second.
Okay, that's fine.
So, Dr. Wajid, have you just joined? Can you please can we just get you onto the call, because they just want to say a few words and before they can go. Just give me a second. Thank you again. I think it's wonderful that we have with you. We have been just looking at this thing. Now, Islamia University Bahawalpur, can the admin please make them co-host? Admin, please make them co-host. Islamia University Bahawalpur. Islamia University Bahawalpur, can you please make them co-host? Yes, they are the co-host now. So first of all, thank you so much, Professor Memon Saab, for your time and sparing your precious moment to give a keynote message for the World Food Day, which says "No one leave behind." So that's the whole idea. And with your honorable presence in this event is most appreciated. And again, thank you, Dr. Wajid Saab and ma'am, for your time as well. I appreciate. I know it's a busy day for you, and I would like to hear from you the key challenge that our food system is facing, and how Islamia University Bahawalpur with this new Center of Excellence is working forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I am very honored to be a part of this very important session on World Food Day 2022. I'm happy that very highly reputable partner organizations have come together to make today's event possible, such as Comstech, the UK-Pakistan Science and Innovation Global Network, SAVI, the Sustainable Agriculture, Water and Intelligent Ecosystem, International Center for Climate Change, Food Security and Sustainability at Islamia University of Bahawalpur, and the Consortium on Climate Change and Sustainable Development, South Asian Conservation Agriculture Network, Pakistan Science Foundation, Pakistan Agricultural Scientist Forums, various other policymakers, NGOs. So it is a shared challenge in the face of climate change realities and growing world population. Food security is a challenge that all of us together can come up with strategies by creating synergies between researchers and organizations. So as part of this collaborative effort, we are at Islamia University trying to put in our best efforts, our scientists in various departments, including Faculty of Agriculture, Faculty of Veterinary, the Faculty of Chemical and Biological Sciences, and other faculties. They are creating synergies within themselves and with researchers from other universities. So our consortium on climate change and sustainable development is one effort in that direction. Also, we have established the National Research Center on Intercropping. So the desire to produce more from same land or diminishing land and keeping it sustainable while we maintain the fertility of our soil, we keep our environment and water clean, and we try to counter the global warming phenomena. So we have to have a full commitment, and for this reason, as the Vice Chancellor of Islamic University of Bahawalpur, I put my full weight and support behind the researchers from my institute, and I am very positive that together with other like-minded researchers and organizations and universities in Pakistan as well as the world over, together we can ensure food security for the growing world population in the face of global warming and climate change. May we be successful together in this effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Athar. Mehman Saab, your worthy presence in this event has made us proud, and this is something we'll definitely, you are sowing the seeds for innovation. And I think your leadership setting up the center in the far area of Pakistan, I would say, leading a way forward. And we are glad to work with you. And as you said, this is a time of working together, and we will work together, bringing it's interdisciplinary. So climate change is not a problem for only biosciences, it's a problem for engineering, for water, for soil, and also for social science as well, how we can change our behaviors. So every one of us has a role to play. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. I appreciate, and I look forward to working with your team and with your center. Thank you, Dr. Wajid. You want to say anything, Dr. Wajid? I think you are going to share the next session anyway. Yes, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. We'll go back and discuss now conservation agriculture, how we can protect our water and soil. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. So over to you again, Dr. Engineer Mushtaq Gill Saab, because they've been very supportive and playing an important role in supporting the water productivity in Pakistan. Mushtaq Gill Saab, he's Tamgha Imtiaz, and his work, his support in bringing Pakistan in conserving water. So he's the, I would say, the founding father of bringing laser technology in Pakistan. So laser was something back 30 years ago, was something we thought, okay, it's American farmers are using. So again, big thank you to Mushtaq Gill Saab. I'm just going to play a video. You have asked me to play a video, so I'm just going to play that video for you, and then we take it from there. So just a second. Just give me one more moment, then I should be able to.
Dr. Khalid, I'm
yes,
so happy to see that how the academia has come forward to meet this important challenge. All the prominent universities of Pakistan, whether it's from Balochistan, from KP, from Sindh, from Islamia University, Bahawalpur, the NID University of Agriculture, and all the academia is taking the lead. I think this challenge has been accepted. I think before my presentation, Dr. Khalid, I would request you to just show a short video which highlights the present post-flood scenario to meet the food productivity challenge. And after that, I'll just share my slides.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm just going to share, and I think I'm hopefully going to get to the point, because I have so many screens on my computer. So let me get to the right one. Okay, just a second. Okay, so I hope this is the one I'm just going to show you. So yeah, because sometimes it's Zoom is playing a trick as well. It's not very easy. So I think this is the one I'm going to show. This challenge for climate change. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
The Asia and the Pacific region is home to 60% of the world's population, that is some 4.3 billion people, and includes the world's most populous countries, China, India, Indonesia, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, and other Asian countries. Half of Asia's population, about 2.5 billion people, live in low-lying coastal areas. Rising seas threaten to intensify floods and storms and degrade land through increased salination. Many countries across the region are experiencing unusually hot temperatures. This region of 350 million smallholder farmers contribute to 80% of the food production. This is the most disaster-prone region in the world due to climate change. With extensive coastlines, low-lying territories, and many small island states, its geography makes it highly susceptible to rising sea levels and weather extremes. Heat waves, floods, and droughts affect every aspect of life, from nutrition and health to safety, shelter, and household income. Unlike developed countries, many nations in Asia and the Pacific cope with the effects of climate change while at the same time trying to raise living standards. While Asia-Pacific's poorer communities contribute the least amount to greenhouse gas emissions, but they are the ones experiencing the consequences of climate change the most. Unpredictable weather patterns can lead to failing crops, spiking food prices, and pandemics like COVID have threatened to wipe out decades of developmental gains. Pakistan and India have already seen blistering temperatures above 50 degrees centigrade this year. 2022 spring was the hottest in Pakistan's history. Heat waves, droughts, and floods are threatening its food security. Shifting rainfall patterns and higher temperatures affect agricultural productivity. Low crop harvests lead to high food prices that make it harder and harder for people to feed their families. Getting there will not be easy. There is a need to take immediate actions to change our farming practices to make our food system much more climate resilient. How could we cultivate our land better, use appropriate irrigation, fertilizers and pesticide application to make our food system much more productive? Centuries-old proven practice of conservation agriculture has been seen as the most resilient system to address these climate change threats. The conservation agriculture has three interrelated principles that include minimum or zero tillage leading to less soil disturbance, soil conservation using crop residues, crop diversification using rotation and intercropping. Conservation agriculture has the potential to boost yields and increase profits in the longer run. This will help in reversing land degradation, regeneration, and conservation of natural capital. Pakistan has more than 8 million smallholder farmers who own less than 5 hectares of land and harvest a low crop yield, typically 50% lower than larger farms, due to lack of access to quality inputs and mechanization, real-time knowledge of crop health, and access to finance, etc. To address the food crisis and climate change threat, South Asia requires another green revolution to feed its growing population. In these circumstances, the way forward is through upscaling conservation agriculture and a sustainable food production system through South-South cooperation. This can be possible through a digital connectivity model using mobile phone power to promote these sustainable practices linking with supply chains. We need a step change in thinking through linking farming to folk, farmer to consumers. Every one of us has the responsibility to play a role, including consumers, about sustainable consumption, zero waste, buying products with provenance and traceability, supply chains, promoting sustainable and fair trade, input suppliers, machinery providers, farmer about judicious use of inputs, chemicals and pesticides, water management, banks, insurance industry offering green banking and financial products. Sawi and Sakan are working and guiding over 0.5 million farmers in Pakistan. Sawi is a digital platform offering real-time advisory, and Sakan is a South Asian conservation agriculture network that has over 2 decades of experience in promoting conservation agriculture practices. Sawi digital platform offers farmers capacity building through knowledge center, daily alerts, my farm features, and marketplace. It provides weekly weather forecasts, soil moisture, irrigation advisory, pests and disease threat, fertilizer application, linking with ground sensors and satellite imagery. It uses the ground truthing power of community involvement, machine learning, and AI applications. For more information, please visit Sawi and Sakan website and download its app.
So over to you, sir.
Okay, very much for patience listening, seeing this short video. There are two messages which Bird is giving us, particularly in the present scenario. As we feel that you have heard that we are just looking for a second green revolution to feed our growing population of 220 million people. You recall that the first green revolution of late 60s when it was that was of intensive agriculture, and that was highlighting the need for the intensive agriculture to apply use of machinery and use of fertilizers, and at that time the population of Pakistan was hardly 40 million. Now we are 220 million, as was indicated by Dr. Farouk and more specifically highlighted by Dr. Fateh Khan Murray, that we desperately need a immediate post-flood situation to go for our wheat planting. So I think in that context, we require a kind of a paradigm shift to go for conservation agriculture. Just this slide, I will you will see that throughout the world now for the last 2 decades, this world has moved to conservation agriculture, which you see we have 3 pillars. One is just minimum soil disturbance, like no tillage or zero tillage. Second is the crop cover, the residue management, and third is the diversification. I think Professor Murray has indicated all these steps which we do need to take in the current campaign for growing wheat, maximum wheat in our areas. So you will see that in the entire world at this stage, successful transformation of conservation agriculture, there is a global revolution in which during the last 20 years, almost more than 200 million hectares of area in 103 countries in the global north and south, as you can see from this slide, is that the entire world is now cognizant to grow more with less. So this is actually the the salient feature which we did in Pakistan. Next, if we can just see right now, as you can see that in 102 countries of the world, mostly this area is increasing at the rate of 15 million hectares annually. So in Pakistan, there has been certain efforts over the last 2 decades, which I'll just show you. Can you move on the next slide, please? Yes. So there has been a sustainable agriculture machinery development package for conservation agriculture. In Pakistan, I'll show in next slide. Laser technology was a game changer, and I must say that that has really worked as a gateway to conservation agriculture. And I think right now in Punjab, Sindh, and even in KP and Balochistan, you will find many of those farmer service providers renting out laser to the fellow farmers. In Punjab, I think I can just say that 20,000 grassroots level, village level service providers are there. They are renting out laser equipment to fellow farmers, and besides that, so you could see certain developments in just 1 second, Dr. Last slide. You could see that this is the development of conservation agriculture machinery in Asia Pacific. Where in Pakistan, we have come up with a laser, with zero tillage, with happy seeder, with seed drills, back seeding. In India, they have come the no-till Rabi seed drill, which is used, they are using also for free. But in China, there have been major developments, which I think we can, just get some machinery and equipment to give it to our manufacturers who can, provide. Next, please. Next. Can you move to next slide? Yeah, this is actually the conservation agriculture package. As I just said, that laser has been a game changer. and a gateway to conservation agriculture. Then under crop residue management, raised bed planting. I must share with you all, ladies and gentlemen, these are the three, game changers. You could see our shifting of our cotton, our maize, our wheat on raised beds. But I think we have yet to go in a big way. Besides this zero tillage, we have gone to second generation zero till, which is a happy seeder. Then happy seeder, there is a residue management. And these are actually the areas which I think would work as a basis for us to go for. Next, please. Yeah. I think if we just see, as was highlighted, that we are after post-floods situation, we have to work in both the irrigated areas, as Professor Manisa has highlighted, that we need different strategies to go for. But fact remains that our wheat, which is the major crop, sown on more or less 9 million hectares, it starts from Gilgit to Gwadar and Peshawar to Karachi. So every farm is sowing wheat. So it is the concern of all the 10 million farmers, as Dr. Khalid indicated, that out of 10 million, 8 million are the small scale holders, small farmers, whether they are going to be, those farmers, who are subsistence farmers also, but they also pay a fee. So in order to meet the food security challenge of low agriculture productivity, population pressure, as was indicated, and particularly dwindling land for agriculture, we need to move for an effort on which, strong effort on which was indicated by Professor Murray also, that first green revolution of 60s was the this was the initiative of academia, although the top level will and support was there, and the then West Pakistan gave a big surprise to the rest of the world. So I would strongly suggest that now, after 50 years or 53 years of the post-green revolution period, when we have gone, I think, 7 times more in population, from 40 million to 220 million, we need a paradigm shift again for a second green revolution, which world is saying is going to be conservation agriculture revolution, that is growing more with less water, less energy, less cost of production, less fertilizer, less environmental degradation. And so this is an area on which I think, again, Professor Marisa, I'm so pleased to hear that even all the universities, we have heard the views from the Islamic University, Bahawalpur, University of Arid Agriculture, in the morning, there was again in which the academic land. So I think now we need to, these could be, in my opinion, these could be 4 different steps to, please move to the previous slides. Yes. This is going to be, we need to go for sustainable use of water sources. As we all agreed in the morning, Dr. Farooq also indicated that the present flood scenario is the water-led, induced, crisis or calamity, whether water was from hill torrents, whether it was a cloud burst or glacier burst, or from the rains. I think we need to tell the farmer that when, how, and how much to apply water. I mean the irrigation scheduling, then when, how much, and how to apply fertilizer, and lastly, when, how much, and how to apply seed. And for that, I think the second component is that our research priorities as a long term should be there to develop collaboration of short and longer term plans by emerging stakeholders, by engaging stakeholders from research, academia, policy makers, and farming industry, farming community. Next and the most important step is how to reach these 8 million farmers, small-scale stakeholders. I think Dr. Khalid has already indicated, and you have seen in the video that we have this important, most important tool, which was not available during the first Green Revolution period, and that is the digital platform. For the 220 million population, we have at least 60 million, almost 1/3 smartphones available even at hillsides, at village side with the farmers. I think we need to go with the supporting the vulnerable groups. I just mentioned at least 8 million smallholder farmers there. They also want to change their fate. They also want to produce, participate in this effort of, and that is possible through digital transformation solutions. And for that, I think, as Dr. Khalid indicated, and as we indicated in the video, SAVI is a platform on which right now we are reaching to almost more than 500,000 such farmers through our digital platform, digital connectivity model. So Professor Marisa, Professor the academia, SAVI and SECON, of course, would like to join you in this great mission of shorter immediately for sowing of wheat campaign, and also long-term for moving towards from conservative to conservation agriculture. And we need to, whereas we need to take every segment of community, I think this is the high time to use the delivering the impact of women and the youth force to achieve the inclusive and sustainable goals. Well, I think if you could show the last slide, which is a last slide is, I think, for me, it's a take-home message that conservation agriculture is a second green revolution globally, and we should also join this. It is the agriculture of the future and the future of agriculture. And we from SAVI platform, we are with you all to achieve this accomplished goal. Thank you once again. We are so grateful, for providing this unique, our opportunity, for providing us unique opportunity to comstech, upsign, and above all, the strong commitment which is coming from academia this afternoon is that our professors, vice chancellors of the lead universities are, joining this, this symposium. And I would again see that, as Professor Marisa has mentioned, that right now we need to reach all those in irrigated areas, all those farmers to go for sowing of wheat, and even those areas which are not submerged in water. I think we can come up with the alternate program which Dr. Shahid Mansu, Dr. Farouk, and even Marisa has mentioned, that we need to go for our oilseeds crops, canola, and other crops to just to add to our food security. And lastly, Dr. Marisa has given 5 areas on which HEC is quite vibrant, on provincial governments and federal governments are quite actively involved. I think this is now the high time that we should go for the digital agriculture literacy, climate change agriculture literacy, and the major factors which has resulted the flood situation, the unprecedented floods in Bluestan and Sindh, which is because of the hill torrents, which just hill torrents splashes, that hit most of the areas in Bluestan, Sindh, and part of South Punjab. I think this should be the second area of concern for us, to go for conservation agriculture practices in the foothills, in the watersheds, to just avoid erosion and other factors. Well, thank you very much. So grateful, so nice. Lastly, I would say that the Pakistan SAVI, in collaboration with the Pakistan Agriculture Research Council and other, Pakistan Science Foundation, I think IMI is also part of, to provide an digital irrigation advisory services to Pakistan. Initially, we are starting from 1,000 farmers. We need to upscale through this digital program. Thank you once again. Thank you for the patience.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Agil Sab, sir. I think your wisdom and your key words are an asset for us. And again, you mentioned the challenge that the humanity is facing is uncertainty. And uncertainty we cannot just visualize with our own head. We need the technology, and technology is where we have got the research, the satellites, the machine learning, and the AI. And this is where the power is in the hands of everyone. So everyone has holding a phone. So if you can use this phone to guide us to make those decisions, but it's a $1 million question. It's not an easy task. So farmers still say, oh, it's a phone, something. I know agriculture much better than you. So you, Babu Log, how can you guide us? So I think this is a challenge, and this is where I think and I would say a big thank you to the people, to the students, the youngsters who have joined today. I mean, we had, I would say, for the first time, around 150 odd people who are just in this session. So thank you so much, all of you. We did not let you to go. There's no break. It's non-stop discussion, because today we are celebrating the World Food Day. That says no one leave behind. And if you look at our flyer, we have tried to bring our communities here, researchers, universities. So without further delay, I think we're going to the last session, which is panel session number 3, which is going to be a panel discussion on addressing food nutrition, malnutrition, and food security post-floods. So we have, again, interesting speakers, but first of all, we have got chairs. Our chair is Professor Asif Ali, who is Vice Chancellor for Mansoura University, Multan. I hope he has joined here. Dr. Please raise your hand if you're here. Secondly, we have Dr. Yusuf Zafar, who's the ex-chairman of Pakistan Agriculture Research Council. He's an eminent professor, and he's I would say, eminent researcher as well. So he developed a lot of varieties during his time at NIBG. He's with us. And the last, not but the least, is Dr. Wajid Naseem Jatoi. He's a youngster among us, I would say. He's the director for the new Center of Excellence that's been established at International University, at Islamia University, Bahawalpur. Islamia University, Bahawalpur. We just heard from their Vice Chancellor keynote talk earlier. So they've been a catalyst in bringing change in the south of Punjab, I would say, or maybe say south of Pakistan, or entire Pakistan, I would say. So over to the chair, see who's here. Islamia University, you guys are here. So maybe if I let Dr. Wajid, you start, and then meanwhile, if we can find Dr. Asif here. Dr. Asif, we cannot find you in the chat here. Yeah, Dr. Yusuf Saab is not there. Maybe I'll find them. I'll search them. So over to you, Dr. Wajid. So please share the session, and then you have an interesting panel here. So very rich panelists here. I hope they have joined as well. So we have got here. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid Mahmood Saab, for providing the opportunity to co-chair this session, important session for World Food Day, with the theme of Leave No One Behind, addressing Pakistan food security challenge post-floods. With this theme and in this international seminar, I am really pleased and honored to be here to leave the session. Thank you so much once again to our partners, our collaborators, comstech-oic Cooperation on Science and Technology, UK-Pakistan Science and Innovation Global Network, SAVI, South Asian Conservation Agriculture Network, Pakistan Science Foundation, and Pakistan Agri-Scientist Forum. Thank you very much once again to all the organizers as well as the partners. Let me introduce myself. Dr. Khalid already introduced myself. I am working as a Director, International Center for Climate Change, Food Security and Sustainability. Above all, we have the Consortium on Climate Change, Sustainability and Conservation at the Islamic University of Bahawalpur. And we have established this consortium with more than 70 universities all around Pakistan, right from Azad Jammu and Kashmir, Gilgit-Baltistan, ICT, KPK, Balochistan, as well as Sindh and Punjab. And we have also the partners with us from industries, from academia, from research organizations, from private partners, and there is list of partners available on website. We will share the website later on. So with respect to World Food Day, I welcome all the panelists, Dr. Shahid Mansu, Chairman, Pakistan Science Foundation, Professor Dr. Masroor Ilahi Babar, Sitara Imtiaz, Vice Chancellor, University of Agriculture, Dera Ismail Khan, Professor Dr. Saima Hamid, Sahiba, Vice Chancellor, Fatima University, Mahmood Akhtar Shima Saab, Country Representative, IUCN Pakistan, University Lahore, Mr. Sakib Ali Ati.
Sorry, we just turned you mute. Can you please unmute yourself? Sorry. Yes, please. Can you unmute yourself, Wajid? Sorry.
Okay.
Yes, no, you're unmute. Thank you. I was just trying to mute somebody, but by mistake, I muted you. Sorry.
No worries. No worries at all. Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. So, Ms. Rubina Rabia Sultan, sorry, Progressive Farmer, Professor Dr. Sayyid Dilnawaz Ahmad Gardezi, Vice Chancellor, Portally University, and last but not least, Mr. Fitz from SAVI. So I welcome all the respected panelists on board with us. And furthermore, I would request Dr. Khalid to please proceed further for the further proceedings, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much again, Dr. Wajid. And I think you have given me a lot of now. I'm under pressure now because I thought you were the chair and I'm going to take rest. But now I think I need to look at my panelists here, who's there in the chat, because there's a lot of names here. I'm hard to find them. So anybody who's able to see, can they just at least raise their hand so that we can make them co-host? Can they raise their hand, please, within the chat box, or just click on your name and it will raise the hand so that we would be able to see who's there. And then we will continue our discussion. Otherwise, I'll just say, in case, I'm just looking at Saima. Dr. Saima, are you there? Dr. Saima is not here. Okay. I'm just going to again look at Professor Dilnawaz, if he's here as well. So yes, Dilnawaz Sahab hai. Can you please make them unmute? I'm just going to ask the controller. So just a second. So Dr. Dilnawaz, that's good. So at least we have few people here. So can they add Dr. Dilnawaz Gardezi? Yes. So maybe you shoot a question now, Professor Dilnawaz Gardezi, Vice Chancellor from University of Portally. So that's where the water starts, from the Kashmir. So maybe it's over to you. Shoot your question. Yeah. Yes. Dr. Dilnawaz, you came and then you just got mute. So maybe, shall I ask how, Dr. Dilnawaz, you see the mountain farming is playing a role in climate change and the issue that we are facing at the moment with the flood. So everything starts from the upland farming. So maybe hearing from you, first of all, the role of Kashmir, and which is the heart of Pakistan. So over to you, Professor Dilnawaz Gudai Sahab. Please unmute yourself. So you are there, but you are not unmute yet. You are still not. I'm just going to add you in the pin. So you are there. So Dilnawaz Gudai Sahab, just please, sir. Yeah, can you speak? Can you hear us? Professor Dilnawaz Gudai, I would just like to hear from you the challenge that we are facing. Professor, we just heard from Dr. Farouk in the morning, the glaciers melting, and then Mr. Gil Sahab also mentioned the glaciers are melting. So things start from the upland. So farming, plowing, type of crop that have a choice, have effect on downside, or I would say the lowland farming. So over to you, sir. Dilnawaz, I think still your mic is not showing up. Maybe you have to leave and come back again. So just join, just leave the session and come back again. That might be the another trick. Otherwise, I'm just going to look who else is in the panel who's here. Dr. Saima, are you there? Dr. Saima, she's not showing up. I'm just going to, maybe I'll just give a, so maybe let's ask this question because this is a panel discussion. Maybe we get a question unless somebody can talk. So over to you. Maybe Wajid, you want to sharpen a question, and maybe get Gil Sahab to answer that question until the other panels get ready.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Khalid. Just as a quick comment, not question, just as a quick comment that no doubt Savi is doing its awesome role in the research and connecting the people with each other, relevant to academia, research, as well as from private sector as well. So, Dr. Mushtaq Sahab, how Savi is working with current flood conditions and advocating the people regarding especially flood affected areas for sowing of wheat crop because it's challenging right now for sowing of wheat crop. Can you please comment on it, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Before that, before this question, I would like to respond the main questions which was posed by Dr. Khalid Mahmood on the recent floods. We had the, the glacier melts. Actually, it was a glacier burst. And the second, it was again from the mountains, again from the, our glaciers. As we see, I think almost out of 15,000 large glaciers in the world, half of them are in Pakistan. So this was the first. The second, this new development which we have seen, and that really flooded our areas in Balochistan, and then this was from hail torrents, as the unprecedented rains were there. So I think the management strategy which should come up should be based on three-pronged strategy, and I will answer the questions which Dr. Jatoi, you have just mentioned, and that will be three prongs: managing our watersheds or managing our mountains. Then, these areas which are a vast chunk of lands, which includes the riverine areas, the areas so-called, we call it rain-fed, but in those areas like Putwar Plateau and other areas in AJK, in Gilgit-Baltistan, in KP, where the rainfall ranges from 600 millimeters to 1,000 or 1,200 millimeters. I think these are not the Barani areas. So there should be a second strategy for management of these areas. Third aspect should focus on irrigated areas as we are doing, like out of, I think our area is almost 1/3 of our area, total area, which is 16 point of the cultivated area, 16 million hectare is irrigated from the canal system. And that is the area which should also receive a focus. And I think, Dr. Jitoisa, to your concern, it was the focus of our activities to irrigated areas. But if you see our slides, which I show you, the entire word is the conservation agriculture. All these interactions were started from the non-irrigated areas, from rain-fed areas, from those areas where, those uplands areas where, this, and almost half of the conservation agriculture in the world is, from those areas. Third and the last one, I think, is our vast chunk of lands where your university and other universities that is our desert and semi-desert areas. So this is, to me, it's a white gold which is there, the sand which is, if you look at Thar and even Cholistan desert, major chunk of lands are there. I think our focus of conservation agriculture should also go for these areas. We can see the recent examples of shifting of cotton from coastal areas to desert areas in China, in Egypt, in Brazil, and other areas. I think, and same is with our recent developments in Rajasthan and even aligned next door. So this is and this should be our fourth focus. And for that, I think we have Dr. Mari Saab has mentioned Islamia University, Bahawalpur, you have a climate change center there, which you are heading, I guess, and then our University of in Rainwater Khan, Khwaja Farid University of Information and Technology. That universities, they can take a lead from those areas which can give us research, and of course we can get some support from south support from China and other success stories. So I think I have answered your concern and the question posed by Dr. Saab.
I think, thank you very much. I think this is a interesting way to sort of discuss this challenge, and I think there's not we always say it's not a single problem. There are multiple problems, and there's not a single solution. There are multiple solutions as well. So I think that's the whole debate, that we always look at researchers. We look at all possible scenarios. So we're looking at, I mean, in the UK, we're saying here we have got only 40 harvests left. Why are we saying that one? Because the upper soil layer is just washed away. So every year it's getting washed away unless we bring those practices like Gil Saab was just explaining, zero tillage, no tillage, or using new ways to grow crops which are much more environment friendly. So I think Professor Dilnawaz is back now. So maybe Dilnawaz, is your mic is fixed now? Can you? No, still your mic is not showing up. So maybe you have to leave and join back again. So I'm just thinking, so we have got here some other colleague, Dr. Ashraf is here as well. Maybe we just bring into the discussion. Dr. Ashraf, Saab, can you please unmute yourself? Or there's Miss Barida, she's from PCRWR. Maybe we include them into discussion, because I think the panel is, the whole idea was how do we address
would you like me to take the panelist?
Yes, please. Yeah, yes. Who's Dr. Saab? Sorry, I forgot your name. Yes, sir.
Oh, this is Mahmood Akhtar Chima.
Oh, Chima Saab. Oh, excellent. You are there. Hey, you made it.
I'm there since long, but I was waiting for this announcement. Right and left. So, okay.
Excellent. No, thank you so much, sir, for joining. And I think
I was only waiting for my turn, actually.
Okay. So I think now it's over to you, sir. Please. I think IUCN has a critical role to play. Over to you, sir.
Okay. First of all, I think let me congratulate you. As the World Food Day theme, you said that leave no one behind, and you have today left no one behind. Worthy Vice Chancellors from Sindh, Punjab, KP, Balochistan, and AJK. We are trying hard to reach to Dil Nawaz Sahab. But I think we heard distinguished scientists, and I'm so glad that today that the galaxy of the distinguished scientists that you were able to rope in, and they have, contributed very, very ably. So first of all, I think it's IUCN is a best kept secret, I must say. Many people, they do not know about IUCN. So it's a union that brings together government, civil society organizations. And we have 1,200 members all over the globe, and 18,000 scientists are associated with IUCN, and IUCN has worked for national conservation strategy, provincial, and so many. In Pakistan, we have members, 41 members, and SACON, GILSA presented, is one of the member organization of IUCN. We have WWF, we have VRSP, a number of organizations that work. Today, I was so glad that we had talked about, and we are actually holding discussions on this challenge that we have faced in Pakistan, the floods. 1/3 of Pakistan came underwater, and the challenge, the capacity that it's a huge challenge. No government actually could face this challenge because of this 451% monsoon rains. We received heavy rains in Balochistan. Over 31 glove that events have taken place. Generally 3 to 4 events take place in Pakistan, and this year, start of the year, we witnessed prolonged winter, shorter hottest months, May and June, especially April and May, and this monsoon, the challenge that has brought. I think we all have heard all the distinguished speakers. I could see that, the challenges that we face, we need to find some solutions. So 4 types of areas, especially the hydrological element of it, the biological element of it, chemical element of it, and the mechanical element of it. So hydrological, we have discussed that too much of water or too less water that we have received, but we need to make judicious use of water, and we need crop efficient technologies. We have not touched very heavily on mechanical aspects. With 1 feet of soil that we have been playing since long, that has created a challenge, and the use of the chemicals, especially fertilizers, DAP, has created a hard pan, and now our lands have become a pan where water stays for much, much longer. We need to invest on further studying. Is infiltration or depercolation need to be studied so that this water, which has been there for weeks, could actually have gone down and added to the groundwater. The second element is botanical element, and I would like to say, we were working in one of the areas, especially in Kohistan, where we saw that the people, they were making use of this botanical aspects, improved variety of wheat. and you were asking question to Dilnawaz Gardezvi Saab about mountain agriculture. There we actually got one of the area which was monocropped. We got that area brought under agriculture with 2 crops, especially wheat, gained elevation. With water becoming available from those water channels, we introduced fish in cold water, the trout, and in warm waters, the other forms of the fish. But a huge number of the fish ponds that we introduced. So I would like to say that these mountains are going to be one of the focus area in upcoming, the time, because our wheat, which we are going to sow, is going to be late in Sindh and parts of Punjab. But in the case of areas that provide opportunity, I think we need to invest and need to enhance and bring more area under wheat cultivation. The second aspect is the off-season vegetables. And I would like to cite example. We have just completed this climate change and gender action plan, which actually has focused one area on the involvement of the women in agriculture and the food security. This is another area which requires attention. I think we need to focus on involvement of the women, rooftop rainwater harvesting, and for that matter, off-season vegetables, all that we can focus on in the uplands, which can actually on a short-term basis meet the needs of this cultivator that we have been using. We need to make use of chisel and other, the plows, which actually break this trend. So mechanical aspect of it, chemical, I already mentioned that we need to make use of hydrological, the improve seed. Finally, a couple of points that I would like to make. One is that we need to find nature-based solutions. I think when I was a kid, I remember we used to have a very, very simple food. And this meat or beef, or for that matter, थोड़ा सा लाइटर काफी सीरियस डिस्कशन रही है. अगर गांव में कोई मेहमान आता था तो हम बंदे को पीछे दौड़ाते थे कि मुर्गा पकड़ो. वो उसके पीछे भागते भागते तो मुर्गा पकड़ा नहीं जाता था, तो मेहमान चला जाता था, मुर्गा बच जाता था. What is happening? The population has gone up, and we have now these eating habits is completely that we have. We are making those habits which are quite a challenge. So we need to focus on the simple requirements that we go. Technologically, we have gone sky high, but still we are not making best use of. We need to have this climate service available. This is one area where Pakistan, we are blessed that we have a number of mobile phones, but we are not lucky that we are not making use of these phones. In neighboring countries, for example, there are a number of successful stories where farmers have been networked and they are making use of climate services. So climate smart agriculture is a solution. Food and Agriculture Organization, Gil Sahab, you have mentioned about conservation agriculture. I would go, much bigger than conservation agriculture. Agriculture, we should keep there, but we should bring B, biodiversity in it. We should bring W, water in it, and we should actually, keeping this in the center, bring all those other elements and then have a coordinated forum. And I'm so glad that these thoughts that you have given today are going to actually serve the foundation that we can build on technologically as I mentioned earlier, hydrologically, mechanically, chemically, the discussions that we had, but it is extremely important that we have this body that keeps us reminding this day is not for a day. This day should be taken as a reminders, and I am so happy to have, number of vice chancellors today. They are actually preparing. अभी बड़ी दफा कहा मरी साहब का जिक्र किया, मैं समझता हूं कि very renowned professional and those other vice chancellors जिन्होंने भी आज participate किया है, they have made proud of us and we look forward to work together. IUCN मैं समझता हूं कि इतनी ट्रक लोड स्ट्रेटजीज हमने बनाई हैं, गाइडलाइंस बनाई हैं, लेकिन वो इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं हो पाई. मैं उनको इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए जितने भी वर्दी वाइस चांसलर्स हैं, अभी मैं क्लाइमेट चेंज जेंडर एक्शन प्लान जो प्रिपेयर हुआ है, इसकी डिसेमिनेशन सारे वाइस चांसलर्स को मैं कोशिश करूंगा कि ये शेयर करूं. बट फ्यूचर लाइज इन पार्टनरशिप्स एंड आई थिंक IUCN offers this opportunity, and we join hand, Dr. Saab, with your good self and with these esteemed institutions where we can work together specifically, geographically, as well as thematically, that we can have these partnerships. And I'm honored to be part of today's discussion. There are a number of, the people they have discussed with a passion, and I'm profoundly grateful for providing IUCN this opportunity. And we are at a distance of a telephone call and email to have this day objectively observed, remembered, and then celebrated together. Thank you so much once again.
Ajit, you are mute.
Representative from IUCN. So am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much, Mahmood Akhtar Chima Saab, for nice compliments and suggestions. So we welcome David Hunter from Australia. He is working on locust control. Sir, we welcome you on board. Mahmood Akhtar Chima Saab has raised nice suggestions as well as shared excellent experience from his professional career. And for that reason, we have the consortium on climate change, food sustainability and conservation over here in the Islamic University of Bahawalpur. Professor Dr. Shazia Anjum Sahaba are with us. She is the patron for this consortium, as well as she is professor and dean faculty of chemical and biological sciences. Over to Madam Shazia. Can you please over to you, ma'am.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon and assalamu alaikum to all. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
I'm unable to open my video. That host must allow me to open the video.
Can I request admin to please make host to Ma'am Shazia Anjum?
Thank you very much for inviting me this very learned forum. I have been listening all the discussions regarding World Food Day, and especially the last talk that Mahmood Chima, he talked about that nothing is possible without collaboration. Based on that, last year in October in our university, we formed a consortium, and it was the theme was to have something related to climate change, sustainability, and conservation. These all are the concepts that are interrelated, like with today's seminar, food security. it is directly linked with climate change. So the consortium, that first we had inter-universities consortium, that within our university, different departments, they were invited, and we shared our research with each other, and we are keep sharing our research, and we are working together to mitigate climate change. Later, we also thought that we should take on board all universities of the Pakistan to be the part of this consortium. Now, Alhamdulillah, we have almost 66 organizations and universities and NGOs and some international organizations who they are on board, and they are part of our consortium. And we have WhatsApp group. We have also our dedicated website. We have given a platform to our partners that how they can collaborate with other partners, because we cannot be very strong in every research area. There are some weaknesses and there are some strong points for us. So we can collaborate with each other. Everybody is free to visit our website, that web portal, and we have also provided the link, the email addresses of different persons, and that way you can connect and you can collaborate and you can make some difference. So this is the first step, and with the time, having so many of partners and collaborators, we are refining this effort. We are getting feedback from our collaborators, and we are updating our website. I'm very thankful to our visionary Vice Chancellor who supported us to make this consortium alive. And I'm also thankful to world-renowned conservationist Ashik Ahmed Khan, who also supported us a lot. And I'm also thankful, of course, a focal person of this consortium, Dr. Wajid Nasim Jatoi. His energies and his enthusiasm is making this consortium stronger day by day. Thank you very much, you all. And I would request you all to kindly visit our portal to see our progress, how we are making progress on this consortium. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk about.
Can I just make a comment here, Dr. Wajid, with your permission?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Shazia, for taking time and giving a sort of the introduction of the center. And as I said, this is a wonderful opportunity. It's cross-disciplinary, and I'm a great fan of interdisciplinary approach. So no one solution can work all the way. We have to find these mini solutions. Mini hammers. So not one hammer could solve a problem. We need to have, like the goldsmith has a small tiny hammer to hammer again and again to get the gold. So that's the whole idea, is working together, working with interdisciplinary, especially colleagues from social sciences, because this is all about behavioral changes. How we can use less plastic, how we can use less food, because we're using more food, we waste a lot of food as well. So I think this is fantastic. I think now the time is running out. I know we have got David Hunter, who has just joined us. He's a great friend of, again, Pakistan. He's spending a lot of time, again, the climate change, its effect. And especially we have seen last year in Pakistan, locust attack was just coming out from nowhere 2 years ago. And there's always danger, climate change. This unprecedented rains will bring those pests and diseases. Over to you, David, if you want to make any comments, and what's the way forward for us in Pakistan. David, do you mind unmute yourself? David, you can unmute yourself. I'm just making you, your co-host, you can unmute yourself. David? Yes, David. Maybe you have some issues. Okay, we'll just wait. Soon you get yourself sorted. We'll love to hear from you. So let's go back to now Dr. Syed Dilnawaz Gurdesi. I think he's showing up as a, it seems like his mic is, David is there. Okay, David.
Okay,
yes.
can you hear me
yes,
now?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, thank you so much. Yes.
Yes, look, this has been a very interesting series of comments, but the real thing, as people have been saying, a part of all this is, of course, climate change and the effects of extreme weather events. And, we need to make preparations and organizations to try and counter these things, because it may well be that these happen somewhat more often than they did in the past, which is very, very unfortunate. Now, the thing is that we do need to ensure food security for Pakistan and all the countries in the world. Populations are increasing. Climate change is making the situation more difficult as far as consistent cropping is concerned. I'm from Australia, and here these very long droughts followed by long wet periods lead to changes that need to be adapted to as far as our cropping systems. And if we are going to feed everyone, we are going to have to adapt to these situations, and it's not going to be easy. Any other comments? Any comments on what I've just said?
David, thank you. I think this is, what alternate solutions we have? We always think about, I know when it comes down to pest and okay, let's spray. And what alternate solutions we have? What other way we need to think about it? Some kind of out of the box thinking. So what sort of approaches you think our researchers, our farmers, our extension agents need to bring into practice?
Well, I think when it comes to pests, we need to really look at integrated pest management because pests do reduce the crop yields, and what we need to do is to have introduce the world's best practice, what other countries are. But of course, for Pakistan, that means researchers introducing, with some research and development, things that are already occurring in other countries. And this is really critically important. And we really do have to think carefully about what the solutions are, because to me, yes, there are solutions, but we are going to have to get better and better at our crop growth, our crop protection, and our whole crop management system. And this is what really is going to be important. And the real thing is to get good cooperation internationally and have local researchers decide exactly what are some of the best ways forward. And I really think that this is what's critical, and it's more to do with really investigating what things can be improved. I know I've been a bit general here, okay, but all I'm saying is that a lot of problems are occurring, and Australia is currently having very, very bad floods as well in many of its areas, and it really is having to alter our whole way of thinking of some of the agricultural practices that we do.
Thank you so much, David. I think it's a wonderful suggestion, and I think this is where sort of it's a continuous effort. And the comstech and the consortium who are sitting around the table here in Islamic University Bahawalpur, Upsign, Savi, Sakan, and the universities and their support. We have got people here, representation from FAO as well. So Amr Irshad, I'm seeing him here as well. So I think we'll move to the next session shortly, but maybe I go back to the chair to maybe conclude this session because we have run over time. 18 minutes. Over to you, Chair, to conclude the session and then open the last session, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid Mahmood. Just as a quick comment, I have shared in the chat box the website of consortium. Before going to conclude the session, I would request Professor Dr. Syed Dilnawaz Ahmed Gadeli Saab, Vice Chancellor, Kotli University, to please have a quick comment, please. Over to you, sir. Edwin, can you please make co-host Professor?
Can I be here, please?
Okay, okay. Yes, sir, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very much happy and pleased to see this very big, consortium of the universities and the researchers and international collaborators who have spoken about the climate change and say its problems and challenges which we are facing and how we can resolve those. I think most of the things have been covered, but there was some technical problem. I could not hear all the speakers today. Regarding my comments, I think it was predicted long ago that some areas, which were receiving very short rains, or they were short in water, they may receive heavy rains like the Balochistan. So we have to plan about those areas, and we can go for conservation of water in that area, because there was a shortage of water in the Balochistan. We have a lot of the land resources, large valleys are over there for agricultural production. We need to concentrate on those as well. Similarly, in the mountain areas, including Azad, Jammu and Kashmir, Gilgit-Baltistan, because we were having a lot of the rains, earlier as well. But there was change in the pattern of the rains for the last many years, and drought we were facing, and the pattern of the rain was changed. It was the routine rains during the monsoon and others. It was changed. Sometimes cloud bursts are there, and whole rain is coming in a week time, and other period, that will go dry. So we were concentrating research on drought tolerant varieties of the crops and others. But I think we have to continue our research on those areas as well. At the same time, we have to think about the conservation of water in all mountain areas, including AJK and Gilgit-Baltistan, because the glaciers are also melting and they are in danger as well. There is some shift in the glaciers, but still their volume is reducing. So we need to perform some research and planning about those, how we can mitigate these things. In the mountain areas in the northern side, the land holdings are very small. So we are also already, short of the land. And the people are not working on the lands for agricultural purposes because it is not profitable. But now I think the people must think about it, as the vegetable prices and these things have gone very high during this period. The flood has come, and much more rains that came in the Sindh and Punjab province. So the shortage of vegetables and other things is also occurring, in these areas. So we must concentrate on the production of the off-season vegetables, and those cash crops which we have left for the long time. At the same time, the crops, routine crops, the maize and wheat, they need to be readjusted according to the availability of water, and water harvesting facilities should be renewed over there. So definitely there are many areas which we have to cover it, and the research and the people who are working on these areas, they must concentrate on those. But overall, definitely there is not a single solution. We need to think about multi solutions to mitigate in the local areas as well as altogether as a country in Pakistan, to meet the food shortages and to meet the challenges of the future. I think the time is also getting very short already. So I think with these few comments, once again, I am grateful to the organizer, Dr. Shahid Mansu, and our consortium chief, Vice Chancellor, University of Bahawalpur, and others for their presence for the whole time and sharing of their views. So thank you very much. I hope it will make big difference for the policymakers and the future planners and for the researchers to concentrate and to focus their research according to the changing climate. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Dilnawaz Gurrezi Saab, for very heart-touching comments in terms of where we need to make immediate changes. And again, this is a longer-term plan. We won't be able to fix things overnight. And you're absolutely right how we can better utilize our land and resources. So no, thank you very much. So maybe Chair, you want to just conclude the session and then we move to the next session. I'm sorry, some of the panelists were not given a chance, but if someone wanted to say something, maybe they can raise hands so that we can bring them into the discussion. Otherwise, we have to go to the next session. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Shahid Mansu Saab, for providing the opportunity. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So I am very honored, and as also I would say big thank to our panelists, especially David Hunter from Australia, Professor Dr. Syed Dilnawaz Ahmed Ghaddesi Saab, Vice Chancellor Kotli University Azad Jammu and Kashmir, Mahmood Akhtar Cheema Saab, Country Representative IUCN Pakistan, and other panelists. Professor Dr. Shahid Mansu Saiba, patron of Consortium on Climate Change, Sustainability and Conservation. And I would say big thank to all the Vice Chancellors, all the respected panelists, especially the organizers that have made it successful story over here. And I am thankful to Mushtaq Ahmed Gill Sabi and some compliment for closing to the session. I would request Dr. Khalid, over to you, sir, please.
Thank you so much again. And this is a reminder, Chair, that we did this event last year in Islamabad. This was a physical event just after COVID. That was on the 14th of October, World Food Day. And today we're doing it online. And this is the beauty of online, because I'm sitting in the UK and our colleagues joining from Australia and colleagues joining from Oman and many places. And so this is where I think we can use this, the power of the technology to resolve these challenges that climate change is posing. So without further delay, I would like to say a big thank you to Dr. Wajid for chairing the session. It wasn't an easy task, and especially when you are managing time and when the panelists are remotely joining. So again, thank you so much for your time. And let's move on to the last session, which is now a closing session. So I would ask here Honorable Dr. Muhammad Ashraf Saab, who is the chairman for Pakistan Water Council and Research, PCRWR. Sorry, I'm not unable to pronounce the proper name of the organization. Sorry, my ignorance. Dr. Ashraf Saab and another renowned panelist together with us is Dr. Amr Irshad Saab. He's the lead program director at FAO. So we've been a lot of discussion we're talking is around FAO, and they are doing a lot of work in the world. We have colleagues today from all over the world. I mean, I see here colleagues from Nigeria, from Africa, from comstech countries. So I would say that the topic, maybe although we've been talking a lot about Pakistan, but these challenges are the same. They are more or less similar in other countries as well. As just David mentioned, Australia is now facing floods. Few months ago, they have a drought. This summer, UK and whole Europe, we faced a heat wave and drought. So these challenges, they are just like, it's like a musical chair. They move from one country to other country. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for taking time. I know this has been a long session. It's nearly 3.5 hours now. So I think we're going to be to the last session. So over to Dr. Muhammad Ashraf Saab for your comments, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid Saab. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Professor Iqbal Chaudhary Saab, and all the partners for organizing this very important and timely, this was basically workshop to address one of the most important, aspect of the, food security. We know that most of the, points has been very well discussed, and particularly Cheema Saab and Dilnawaz Saab, and they have wrapped up many of the things. Food security is one of the most important thing. In fact, it is over the time growing one of the most important non-traditional security threats to the nations. And Pakistan is not an exemption from this threat. And this threat is, basically linked with our national security, and food security in turn it's related to our water security. And above all, climate change, it has threatened all those these securities, and it has become one of the most important non-traditional security threats all over the world. And we have witnessed it, the impact of climate change. Some time ago, the people, some of the professionals, they were not even going to believe on the climate change. Now, but over the time, it has proved that it is the reality, and it has affected a lot to the country like Pakistan. As we all discussed that, some months before, we were all discussing about drought. I remember a few months before, the district, some of the districts, about 13 districts in Balochistan, they approached, the government of Balochistan approached the federal government regarding the drought situation. And these are the districts which are badly affected by the flood, recent flood. So a few months ago, we were facing the heat wave, drought, and now we are going through the flood, devastating flood of the I think history, known history of the country. So this is very important. I think it is, it is sometimes it is behind our thinking and discussions. The issue of food security, which might emerge over the time, because I was discussing with one of my colleagues in Sindh, because the Sindh is the most affected province in this flood. And he was telling me that entirely, the cotton crop and banana crop was totally damaged. And now look at the another challenge, which is basically the challenge for all of us to think about it. And this is the challenge of growing the rabi crops, which is just a month ago. It's not far away. In fact, we have started growing, the wheat in the Barani areas, but in the irrigated area, it is not far away. So the right side of the indices has not been still drained. It means we would not be able to grow any crop, particularly rabi crop. So there is a challenge for us, a growing challenge to get food. Gil Saab used to talk, and we used to talk that Sindh is the province, basically the food and fruit basket, early food and food basket of Pakistan, and all the food and food, the early season fruit and vegetables, it basically comes from Sindh. So we will be facing food shortage, and we will be facing the food shortage, both from which is basically provided by the Sindh. So it was a wonderful session. We covered a lot. It was, starting from the food security to food safety, policy, breeding, livestock production, conservation agriculture, digital agriculture, malnutrition, and water conservation. We have discussed all these points. And Khalid Sahab, you have mentioned, and Dilnawaz Sahab has also mentioned, Chima Sahab also mentioned, there's not a single solution to these problems. So we have to take this system as a whole. This is, I think, the one of the key message of today's discussion, that we cannot achieve the food sustainability, we cannot achieve the water sustainability, we cannot achieve the climate sustainability without without following the integrated approach, without following the system approach. We have to address the system, overall system. I think this is one of the key message I have noted from today's discussion, and this is happening. The last the super flood of 2010, it was the Riverine floods, and this year we witnessed that the river was relatively calm, but the hill torrents they hit they basically hit the solution. So to sum up, all this, I think one of the most important things we have to consider is the system approach, the integrated approach to address the issue, and we have to start from the bottom, particularly from the lower index. As I mentioned, that there will be no food coming from those areas for a considerable time. So while focusing on draining draining those areas, and also bringing some of those crops which are basically short duration and which can sustain the relatively high moisture level, it will be a critical challenge for all of us. So I would like to Khalid, we discussed that we will be able to take few of the questions at the end, but as we ran short of time.
Thank you so much, Dr.
We
Ashok.
ran out of time, and therefore I skipped the questions to skip out of the time. But I think it was overall a wonderful session. It brought many dimensions into the in basically forefront, many dimensions in front of us, in front of the academia, in front of the practitioner, in front of the researcher, and in front of the policy makers, and also in front of some of the progressive farmers who were participating in this important seminar. So with these remarks, I will not take much of your time. With the key message that we have to follow the system approach, integrated approach, to address this very important issue of food security, not for the country, but for the entire world. So thank you very much, Khalid.
Thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad Ashraf, and for remarkable thoughts into the approach that we need to take, a system approach. And the system approach has various elements starting from the basics. So right from the soil, right from the water, right from the approach that we can make a balance or trade-offs. So we use, a few years ago, this terminology was quite active in the UK, sustainable intensification. So we use this terminology, but now it's been replaced. How do we achieve net zero? That's another challenge. So food security, net zero, and then nutrition. So I think these challenges are keep on evolving. And then we had COVID as well. So these things will happen in future. So we had a quite interesting talk early this morning about livestock and their role in our food system. So I think this kind of debate is an academic discussion we need to carry on, and this is where working in collaboration and cooperation and communication is important. And I know where this digital platform Savi is working very closely with PCRWR, and I think in 2 weeks' time there's Water Week celebrations, and there's a way to get those kind of messages to the farmers: use less water, less chemical, less pesticides, and let's conserve it to produce more. So Gil Saab always use this terminology: produce more from less. So I think without further delay, let's go out to our last speaker, Dr. Amir Irshad Saab, to hear from them the FAO perspective. So how FAO is seeing, how FAO is celebrating today's day, no one leave behind. That doesn't mean only the persons, the communities, the biodiversity, the nature, microorganisms, everybody. So we are not going to leave anybody behind. So we have to bring them on board to address this gigantic challenge that we are facing at the moment. So over to Dr. Amar Shah Sahab. जी आमर साहब आप अनम्यूट कर लीजिए सर.
जी, thank you Khalid sahab. So first of all, I would like to thank you very much, and I think it's very timely that you are organizing this debate or discussion that is very relevant with regard to World Food Day, as well as that is very pertinent with regard to flood situation in Pakistan that have pushed many people's food in Pakistan. So I would like to share, a couple of thoughts or, the information that may be useful for other participants of this discussion. So my number one point is that in Pakistan, the inflation has increased. I mean, very recently in high number, and that if I give you the figure, the general inflation in Pakistan that we measure by inflation index, that is the consumer index, that is around 30%. I mean, that crossed 27%, and in that the food inflation is 30% in rural areas. So that is way higher than the figures that we used to have in Pakistan. For example, we are generally having food inflation in Pakistan in single digit, whereas we cross not only the single digit, but we touch 30% food inflation in Pakistan. So that means that many people in Pakistan will be facing challenges of food accessibility, economic food accessibility. That is one point. And important thing is that there are reasons, there are issues, and there are challenges which we can relate with the internal as well as external reasons. So internal reason, the floods in Pakistan, that has exacerbated the situation. Further, the financial crisis in Pakistan that have made food very expensive, especially in the situation where the country is importing like $9 billion worth of food items in Pakistan compared to $4.5 billion worth of exports of the country. So with the passage of time, the import and export difference has increased, especially in the food sector, and the imported food items contribution or percentage has increased in the total food basket of the country. So that means that the food is becoming expensive in Pakistan. That is one thing. The second thing is that is the internal, that is our financial crisis, our challenges with regard to rupees depreciation against the dollars. So for the last 5 to 6 months, the rupees has been significantly depreciated against the dollars. For example, 6-7 months ago, the exchange rate was 180 rupees against $1, whereas today it is around 220, but like a month ago, it even touched 240 rupees compared to $1. So that means that if we increase our imports in Pakistan, especially the food items, so that means that will become very expensive for the consumers in Pakistan. The third point is that the fuel crisis in the world, and that is also affecting Pakistan, and especially in the situation where Pakistan is highly relying on the imported energy supplies. So again, I mean, this dollar exchange rate, rupees exchange rate is creating a problem, and our more than 50% imports actually are around energy related items. That could be gas, or that could be the diesel and petrol. So that is another reason. The third is the animal feed manufactured in Pakistan. Our whole poultry industry is based on imported items. I mean, the chicks, the animal feed ingredients, as well as vaccines and medicines. So that means raising chicken in Pakistan, raising poultry in Pakistan is becoming expensive, and that translates into high food inflation for the local consumer. So I think these are the reasons which are making Pakistan further food insecure, which is pushing poor people in poverty, and that is putting many people in food insecurity kind of a situation. So if you see this and if you put in perspective and apply the situation of floods in Pakistan, so that means the situation was not good in Pakistan, but it has further exacerbated because of the flood situation, where there are two kind of estimates available with us. One is saying that Pakistan has 5.5 million acres has been affected because of the flood. So these are the numbers which we receive from the crop reporting services. The other number, which is being reported by international agencies like United Nations, FAO, and other agencies using the satellite technology, and they're saying that the area affected by floods in Pakistan is 9.4 million acres. So if that figure we consider correct, so the 84 districts which has been hit by flood, that has 55 million acres. So out of 55 million, if around 10 million acres have been affected because of flood, so you can understand that that is around like 20% of the total cropland or total cultivated area of the country. And that has put a situation to the farmers where they will lost the crop, they lost the crop, and they will not be able to earn money to invest, to make investment for Rabi plantation, the winter plantation. And winter plantation actually makes the major food supplies for the country. For example, wheat is grown in winter, the edible oils are grown in winter, and several important pulses, they are grown in winter, and likewise potato and other like onion, etc., they are grown in winter. So if Pakistan misses the Rabi plantation, there will be a high probability that there will be food crisis in the country. So I think the government is taking good measures, international agencies are supporting, and with the effort, there are chances that the Pakistan will be able to have good Rabi plantation, but some of the areas, especially in Sindh and Nasirabad division, the green belt of Balochistan, there will be still problem because the land will not be available for the plantation because water still be standing, and the land will become only available in next year, in 2023 for Kharif plantation. So these are the situation, and in this context, we need to plan and we need to work with the government and we get the suggestions where the country able to manage its food supplies for the coming days and months. So with this, I will just leaving one message that Pakistan is facing serious problem, and the expert like you all participating in this conference, they should advise to the government how to manage this crisis and how to secure the food supplies in the country for the people, especially for the poor people in Pakistan. Over. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amir Shah Saab. I think your talk is very true in a sense that it's opening up a debate for us to sort of looking at a holistic way to address this challenge, and immediate need for food, immediate need to address the crisis, but in the longer term, where the new policies and where the research need to focus is on a system approach. And it's a staggering number that you mentioned, around 84 districts, and they're 9.4 million acres. It's a huge number. It's nearly 10% or 20% of the area underwater. So, but that could be a way for us. It could be an eye opener for us to look at some options, some solutions in the longer run. So I would like to say big thank you to the panelists, big thank you to the chairs, big thank you to the participants especially, and big thank you to our sponsors, our supporters who made effort to get this event together. And this event was in recognition of the World Food Day, No One Leave Behind. So we are all working together, and we had equal representation from different walks of life, stakeholders, men and women as well. So I'm just seeing a lot of faces here who have joined us from around the world, I would say. Big thank you to the participants. They have taken time. And as I said, Comstech is I think in the beginning, Comstech is a Commission for Science and Technology working in the Muslim world, but they have also a relationship with other countries as well. That was the lead organization for today's event. Big thank you to them. I just see here the team members from Ms. Khazima Muazzam, who's leading from Comstech in this session. We were planning to have this in physical, but due to floods and all these other issues, we thought, okay, let's keep it more online. And then also big thank you to Upsign, which is a network supporting collaboration among the researchers from the UK, from Europe and US and other countries working with Pakistan. And then the third partner on that one, Savi. Savi is a digital platform which is working with the farmers in Pakistan. Actually, Savi was launched last year in Islamabad with the president of Pakistan in Comstech. So maybe next year we look forward to have this event in presence in physical in Islamabad, inshallah. And the third supporter for us was Islamic University Bahawalpur. They have supported from the day one. And big thank you to the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Atar Saab and his team, and Dr. Wajid Jitoi Saab, and Dr. Aisha, and they have just Dr. Shazi as well, who has been just talking to us earlier. And also big thank you to SACON, South Asia Network for Conservation Agriculture, and Engineer Mr. Agil Saab. He wears a number of hats. First, he's the CEO of SACON, but also CEO of Savi as well. And he's an icon in Pakistan in promoting the sustainable agriculture, conservative agriculture, conservation agriculture. Sorry, he's always correcting me, conservation agriculture. And then lastly, not the least, but we have support from Pakistan Science Foundation. Unfortunately, Dr. Shahid Beg, he has got some hospital appointment. He wasn't able to join us. And a big thank you to Ma'am Nagisti from, she was supposed to join us from International Food Security Organization based in Sweden. She also sent apologies at the last minute. She got some fever. And then we have Pakistan Scientist Forum, which is again Pakistan Agriculture Scientist Forum, and then all the universities. There's a long list. It's right from University of Agriculture Rawalpindi, University of Agriculture Faisalabad, and colleagues from Mansoura, colleagues from Nibji Institute as well, colleagues from Khuzdar University, Dr. Dilnawaz Gardeji Saab from Kotli University, Azad Kashmir, and colleagues from Dera Ismail Khan University. So a lot of them, they were not able to join us, but they supported this event. But they're always in discussion with Savi, with Upsign, with Comstech, so how we can take this forward. So I think the journey that we have started, and this is a fantastic sport, and we're supporting the International Islamic University Bahawalpur in their networks. Upsign is also supporting from the UK as well. We're looking at where we could bring a big program, research program, working together with the HEC, Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. So this is still work in process. As I would say, big thank you to everybody. And please look after yourself, and thank you for sparing time, and round of applause for everyone. Maybe if you guys are able to turn on your cameras, then we can make a screenshot. I don't know if international ICCBS team, can you allow us to share our cameras, everyone? So then maybe we can make a screenshot. Hey, maybe some kind of sharing moments as well. Thank you very much. This is fantastic, and I'm really glad to see everybody, especially your support. And let me make how I can put everybody in the frame. Gigi? No, that's good. I think Ms. Khazima, you want to make some screenshots, and I think you guys have a good social media. I'm just going to put, if I can remove myself from the frame, and then this could be another way. Can someone make a screenshot, please? Dr. Wajid, you're really good making some screenshots. I just want to be, maybe, I don't know, maybe if I can hide, I just put myself out of the, just remove my pin and remove Dr. Saab as well from the pin.
There are many who have not actually come in front of camera.
Okay, camera.
Oh, yes, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So if we put everybody into the, so yeah, now if I make a full screen, and then I just gallery will be up. So now everybody's in the gallery. So okay, so big cheers, and then Inshallah, we look forward to have a fantastic cooperation working together. Dr. Sial, thanks so much for you to joining us. Dr.
Thank you,
Aisha.
Dr. Saab. Congratulations. Very good. Excellent event.
So thank you very much, everybody. Look after yourself, and inshallah, we'll keep these discussions moving. So you will see in your email box and in your Gilsab, you want to say something? Because your word of wisdom is always something for us to carry. Take a message. Yes. You want.
I really thank you all, particularly Chima Saab, Dr. Ashok Saab, or above all, Dr. Amar Irshad Saab, at our call. I know that this stage पर FAO is taking lead in, to overcome this crisis, which is, and I think Dr. Amar Irshad has given 4 or 5 areas on which I think we will have a follow-up action plan, after this, in association with IUCN, with the FAO, academia, and our other partners to take this way forward to overcome these problems. Thank you very much, for all, for participating in such a long session. And it was really an honor to have you.
Thank you so much. Bahut shukriya. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, David. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.